Good evening, everybody. We are back with another round table, and sorry, not a round table, a chit chat. So tonight we're just going to have FE only. So that means we're not going to get any globs in tonight. We're not going to have Brenda come in. We're not going to have the Rumpus come in or anybody like that. Essentially, it's just going to be for flat earthers only, and hopefully we're going to get a decent panel and talk about some subjects that might be a bit close to some people. Maybe talk about the ether, maybe talk about gravity, who knows, because these are two big subjects that seem to divide flat earth at the minute. So it would be interesting to get a take on that from a flat earther talking to another flat earther about why they believe what they believe. So without further ado, we'll be joined by Spurs Chemo, but he's gone off to just go and make a cup of tea right now. So as soon as he's done that, he will be back. And for the first time ever, and this is the first time I've ever spoke to this gentleman, Cogito, do a quick mic check. Say hello to everybody.
Hello, hello.
Good, good, good.
Nice to hear me.
Yeah, you're coming through great there. Coming through great. So, Cogito, this is your first time on this show. You did say that you went on Nathan's one time, but do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into Flat Earth?
Yeah, so it's kind of sounds like a broken record if I say it out loud. It was maybe 5 years ago. I was listening to some YouTube clips and I came across the Joe Rogan clip when he was saying talking about these flat earther people, and I was like, what? Are there people really entertaining that thought? That can't be possible. So then I start researching it. I'm looking at some early videos. It was at the time Eric Dubay and Matt Sargent and stuff like that. And I was like, at first I was like, no, I cannot accept that. This is it's really difficult. But one thing that I had to say was like, these guys are not stupid. That is one thing that I could admit to myself. It's like, these people are not stupid. I mean, the arguments are not stupid. But I couldn't, I didn't accept it right away. But after a few weeks, it's kind of started to sink in. And the simplicity and the logic, it's really hard to argue. And then, everything snowballed from there on. So I've been mostly, let's say, content consumer. A lot of, following a lot of people and listening and trying to figure out some stuff. That's basically it in a nutshell.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I think everybody we speak to, including myself, but is that when you first try to address the idea that the Earth may be flat, your internal response, for whatever reason, is immediately to deny and say that cannot possibly be true. It's like this default thing that's inside of us to say that. But then, on reflection, when I look back at all the programming that we had back from the 1970s, 1980s, in fact, right up till today, basically, all that programming, every TV program, news report, global, this, space, everything's fantasy, and it's a case of we have been force-fed this. That's it. We have been force-fed it. Everybody that's sort of like under, say, 50 years age is going to say that if they think critically and remember things, they were literally just force-fed it. It was down the necks and it was everywhere. And to actually try and step away from that, it's really difficult because the programming was so good.
Yeah, man, I did realize, like, if I would have to, at that time, if somebody forced me to prove the globe, I couldn't do it if my life depended on it. I had absolutely zero proof of the globe other than what I was spoon-fed. The images. That's basically what, at that time, what I could say. Yeah, you have images from space, you have images of the globe. That's basically it. I've gone through many educations, I mean, throughout my life, but I mean, nobody ever provided me any actual proof rather than yeah, just to say it. Yeah, it is like this. The Earth is round, and we're spinning and flying around the sun, and yeah, everything is spiraling, and but not one single proof.
The big question is, why would they lie? Is what they ask us.
Yeah, but
What would you
I
say?
mean,
What's in your opinion? I mean, obviously we don't know the actual answer. Why does anyone do crime or something criminal like this, right? But we can, I suppose, we can suppose why they would do this. Why do you? What's come across your mind?
I mean, as you say, we can only speculate. But what I uh, what I think is mostly control. That's basically, um, yeah, because it's easier to control somebody who doesn't realize. I mean, the ground he's standing on. I mean, if he's not aware of that, then everything else is
Control for
quite
what then?
easy.
Just like so you work or something.
Yeah, I mean, control everything, every aspect. I mean, we live in a society where everything is controlled. I mean, you can't do anything without anybody checking or give you permission, or every step you, I mean, every step, every money you get, somebody takes a part of it. Every
Are you
step you
religious or
go.
anything like that?
Well, I'm, how should I say? I was born into the religion. I'm born a Muslim.
Okay.
So, and I've been kind of, I would not say that religious. I mean, during my life, I always like believed in God, but I wasn't, yeah, I was like, let's say, semi-religious. And during my life, I was always like struggling with this, let's say, scientific, in quotes, side, where with the Big Bang and evolution, and as many people, I was trying to fit evolution into the religion,
Hmm.
like force it in, like, you know, a triangle through a square. I mean, it doesn't work, but you are kind of mentally trying to merge those two together to don't uh, let's say, to don't have a confliction in your head,
Hmm.
because those two are contradicting each other. So, but you're trying to kind of fit it to, because you don't want to go against the narrative, so to say. Uh, but but yeah, after, let's say, after the flat Earth and uncovering some other lies, I've realized that, yeah, I mean, there is a creator.
Yeah.
The basic, but that's kind of basically where it stops right now for me. I don't really know
Which
anything
creator?
more than that,
Yeah.
because
Do you
like
think?
so much of history is, I mean, it's changing in front of our eyes. So
Okay.
the history is literally changing, meaning that we can see the lies today, but tomorrow, in tomorrow textbooks, it says something else. So we can see that, you know, the people that has been around, you know, let's say when Einstein came out with this theory, I mean, the scientists at that time was saying like, oh, you're stupid. What the hell is this? What are you talking about? This is crazy. This is madness. But after they die, the narrative stays. So the new people come in and they get educated with the stuff that's in the books, and it just keeps on going. So the history is changing on many stuff. Like, I mean, 9/11, it doesn't say in the books that it was a false flag. I mean, in the books it will say that, yeah, it was hijackers flew in planes into the towers.
Hmm.
And when, if the people that know the truth are dead sometime in the future, the books will remain, and then new people will come and they will learn that stuff, and they will believe it. So it's literally changing in front of us. So I was like, okay, how do I know that something that's been written 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, it's true? I mean, how do I even know that it's from that era. How do I verify it other than somebody saying it to me?
Yeah. So, what's your like best flat Earth? You know, if you were talking to somebody new, they were like, "Okay, so you're a flat earther. Why are you a flat? What's the best evidence that you would put forward?"
That one, I mean, it would really depend on the person I'm talking to.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's kind of you need to find let's say the correct evidence for the correct people, because some people don't accept some evidence, but accept some other evidence. So you kind of really need to probe the person.
Well, just say
And
you were standing on a podium on stage, just general. What would you say? Why you're a flat earther?
I mean, first I would say that our senses. I mean, it's obvious that they tell us we are not moving, not spinning, and the Earth is flat. That's kind of the basic, the starting point.
Yeah.
And let's say moving on from that, if somebody, I mean, if we're standing on a beach and we see the sunset, and we can both say, okay, yeah, the sun is going away from us down towards the horizon. But then if and that's clear for everybody that it seems like that. And if somebody comes with a claim, no, we're actually falling backwards, well, then it's up to that person to prove it, because that's not obvious to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the first starting point. And then, yeah, I mean,
Well, let's just say if you were going to tell mom or dad or your family, friends, and they were like, "Oh, you're a flat earther," what would you say to them?
yeah, I mean, I will bring up many stuff, but like we see too far. I mean, there's so much evidence, so
I mean,
much.
it's not difficult. Is what I'm trying to say is that the ball earthers try to make it into a complicated thing when you can have a 20-minute conversation with somebody, and it's pretty simple. You know, you explain there's equations that tell you can only see so far. We have observations that you can see further. You need a force for water to conform around the exterior of an object. That's what I'm saying. It's just, you know, just how easy it is, how simple. It's not as complex like as they make out, right?
Yeah, it's definitely much easier. But what I have also realized that if something is too simple, the some person with heavy cognitive dissonance is not able to take it. It's too simple.
Mm-hmm.
It's somehow the mind goes into a backflip, or it's like it can be, if something is really too simple, like I don't know how. I mean, how do we have gas pressure without a container? I mean, that's that proves that we cannot have space. I mean, I think it's very easy to understand that concept, but if you present it to somebody who has like never thought about it,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, their mind will backflip, and it was like, no, it can't be that simple. I mean, it's really like they kind of expect you.
What's your view on the gas pressure argument? What is the sky? You know, you hear Nathan say we don't know what the sky is. What do you think it is?
But what do you mean by the sky? You mean the
So is it a
atmosphere?
container? Why isn't the atmosphere rushing off into the void, or whatever you might want to call it? What, in your opinion? Because we don't know, obviously, but obviously.
Yeah, we don't know. I mean, that's if you think there is a void.
No, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. I'm just saying, up there, do you think it's a dome, a container? Do you think it's open? Do you think it's a void? What's up there? What do you think?
I mean, I tend to lean on it's a container of some sort, but really the shape of the container, it could be a dome. It might not be. It's really difficult. I can speculate a little bit, but I mean,
Don't worry about speculating. You know, because obviously we're in a position now where.
So I was just going to say, the thing with this type of stream that I do here is that you can speculate. You know, if you want to speculate, that's fine, because it opens up discussion. I think the minute that you stop speculating and having this debate in this sort of format is the minute that it becomes a priesthood. You know, and at that point, then if it's a priesthood, there's no point in having any panelists. There's no point in having any guests, because if you're just going to say the same thing, you're not going to take anybody else's point of view in, then what's the point in even having a show? you know,
especially when we don't know the answer. So nobody knows what's up there. You know, we've been told it's a container, we've been told it's a vacuum, so we don't know. So I think we can kind of just think about it. You know, speculate. What could it be?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for me, it sounds logical that is a container, since we have a gas pressure, and I don't really see how it will work without the container if it was just infinite void. But and also if it comes to, let's say, a dome, it a little bit makes sense if you think about this coffee cup caustic. If you've seen it, I mean, Jaron has presented it a few times before, how the light can spread. I mean, in a coffee cup, which kind of would explain the 24-hour daylight on the South Pole. So, but that's that's kind of one of the evidence that I think like points to a dome. But
yeah, I mean, it's difficult, like you say. I mean, some type of containment. I mean, I wouldn't go as far as saying a container. I don't think we live in a container like a box or something like this, like with walls and a roof. But you know, it's something to do with temperature. Could be. What's up there? We'll never know at this point, unless we get.
Just going to give a shout out to Jimbo, NMR, and AA, followed by emission of light. Light is created locally. One day someone will take time to look. Indeed. Hey guys, you're right, sorry. What was the question there, Spurs? Oh, there you go. Sorry, my mistake. What was the question there, Spurs?
I was just saying, what do you think? So, who else is on the panel here?
This is Rude Earther.
Hey, Rude Earther.
Hello.
You're right.
Sorry, lads. Yeah, I'm on mute a minute. Yeah, I'm all right, guys. I'll jump in 1 second. I just wanted to get in the queue.
Yeah.
Carry on. I'm just listening here anyway.
Yeah, something that was interesting that you said before there, Cogito, was that when you mentioned 9/11 and you can see history changing in front of your eyes, do you think that 9/11 was the first time that they actually tried to get away with something so large, but because it was in the information age, and because we had the internet and we'd just started to receive, I think it was better than dial-up back then, so it would have been the first sort of like first touches of broadband sort of thing. People were just getting to grips with this technology. Do you think that's why the narrative never stuck, because people were able to see through it for the very first time because it was so well documented?
Yeah, that's a tough question.
Well, is it what woke you up?
Yeah, it was definitely 9/11. I mean, that was let's say, the spark. Before that, I was kind of sleeping. I mean, I'm always, let's say, skeptical when people try to push anything on me. But that was really like the first time where I realized the magnitude of anything. I mean, I couldn't believe that. I mean, there could be such a conspiracy on that level. And then, like, after that, anything was possible. And I don't really know, like, I mean, anybody who looks into 9/11 and let's say dismiss this conspiracy and believes the narrative, I don't really know what's going on, because that one is very too obvious for anybody who have a critical eye to dismiss.
You know, one thing ball earthers hate is a flat earther who's made a decision. You know, like, it's flat, I'm not going back. But is there anything for you that would make you go back to the board? Because there has been, you know, a couple of flat earthers or ex-flat earthers have gone back to the board for no good reason, that is. But is there anything?
Really flat, so.
Yeah, exactly. But is there anything that you would be like, that you would need actually to convince you that the Earth is a ball spinning, flying through space?
I mean, at this point, it will take a lot. I mean, there's not one thing that would convince me. I mean, it will be quite a lot. I mean, I don't really know. I don't think one piece of evidence would be enough. I would need to disprove, everything else.
It's too late. That ship has sailed.
Yeah, I mean, basically. But I mean, of course, I'm open. I'm always open. I can always change my mind. Whatever.
That's what I mean, because the ball earthers, they absolutely despise this. They're like, oh, well, you've made your mind up there and that's it. There's nothing to discuss. Is there anything that we could do to try and convince you? And I'm just thinking, is there anything? So I'm just thinking, would you accept a 24-hour feed of the ball or something? Like, flat earthers say, show me a 24-hour sun or show me observations in the south or something like. Is there anything that you, because the ball earthers will try and accommodate and try and do it to get you back?
Yeah, I mean, no, I mean for those, let's say those simple proofs, that will not be enough. I mean, that's after everything I've seen and gone through. That, I mean, there's really not one piece of evidence that would require. I mean, it will require a lot of evidence on their part.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why they're so desperate to turn people back to the ball, like they've got something vested in it.
Because they think it's true. They believe it to be true. Like they really believe they haven't been lied to. A
lot of people think a lot of things are true, but don't necessarily go around trying to persuade everybody else. Like, I don't understand why they feel it's necessary for everybody to believe that.
I don't know if you've seen.
I'm not in vampire. I'm not like in the vampire servers going, you idiots, vampires aren't real. Don't you know there aren't people that are sucking blood? Like, why, if they think this is so ridiculous, why are they in here talking to us? It's because it's like damage control. It's like they have to, because if you let Flat Earth just go up to people and be like, yo, look, there's not planes upside down under your feet. Like, go up to radio, there's not water. It'll start moving. They have to put walls and people to block and contain a movement. That's
exactly. Whereas a lot of people can when you say, oh, there's vampires and unicorns and all that, they just dismiss it as fantasy straight away because they've got a bit of sense. But with Flat Earth, they have, like you say, they have to attack it because it is, it's common sense. If you go out there and start looking and that, maybe not as in Flat Earth, as in like you blanket it, but things that you're told aren't necessarily what they are. And when you start looking into stuff, it just opens up a new world, a new perspective.
I think a lot of it as well, they've put many years into studying this, haven't they? If you think about it.
Of course they have. And money. They've got unlimited
time, money, effort.
It's all about, I think, in the end, it all just boils down to money and power, doesn't it? Really, it's just the slaves and the masters at the end. And that's all it ever has been throughout history. It's just more covered now, more secretive, and it's done, it's more persuasive rather than forced at the minute.
So, Rude, is there anything that you, the ball earthers, could say, or not that they could say, what would you want to be convinced that it's a ball? Not what would you want to say, right?
Well, to me, anything in physical reality should be able to be scaled. Anything. Like just that new channel, like that Sky 3, there's like scaling models going over the horizon when they're not actually going over the horizon. And, like when people, when these companies build massive structures and that, they scale it first to see if it works in reality. Why can't you just scale the globe? If all the things that you claim are true, surely you can create a situation where you can recreate what you're saying is happening. But then they just claim it can't be done on a small scale. But the scale it can be done on is so massive that you could never see it. So it's like a dog chasing its tail. You're never going to, for them, they've covered all the bases. You're never going to be able to prove it. So you may as well just believe what they're saying, if you know what I mean.
They say small scale like there's a large scale where it happens. That's like one of their magic tricks. So, oh yeah, it's small scale. No, it's all
then when
scale.
you ask the question,
Every
at
scale.
what scale does it, become possible for it to happen? They can't set a limit on that scale.
Oh, but they do. It's beautiful. I go, oh, so the only time you can test this is when you have an object that's too big to test. And they're like, yeah, it's got to be too big to test. Well, then what the fuck is you're just saying it? Yeah, I can go invisible when nobody's looking at me. You just can't be looking at me. Once you look at me, I become visible again.
100%.
So right the hand, same to you. What would you want? Like you personally?
No, it's physically impossible. Like you would have to demonstrate that physics can change, and unless like then it wouldn't be physics. You know what I mean? Like there's a certain physical necessity of matter that is required for the Earth to be a ball, and that's for size of object to make things stick, and that's just non-demonstratable. It's unfalsifiable, so it's just impossible to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and anything rotating, it never shows something sticking to the outside. It's like the complete opposite. It'll stick to the inside of obviously something rotating, but you can't plant something on the outside unless you strap it on. It's going to fly off. They can't show that either. They can't show something spinning and everything sticking onto the surface of it on a scale. They claim it. They claim that's what gravity does. While the Earth turns, gravity holds everyone on. But they can't show something turning and something else being held on without, to a scale, without just suggesting that is what is happening. It's all like...
This is also happening in a gigantic vacuum chamber. Like all of this.
Well, yeah, that's it. Like that, really would that make a difference? Like, if we emptied, theoretically, if we emptied the chamber into a vacuum, just on the floor, would water stick around the sphere? No, I don't think it would. I don't know, mate.
No, it boils away.
Water
would boil away in a vacuum.
Yeah, that's it, exactly.
It's a story, and before they can even convince them of the story, they have to convince them that the people that are telling them the story are geniuses, and that's where the Einstein and the relativity and all these equations and everybody goes, oh, that's way over my head. And then there it is. Once it's way over your head and you can't understand it, you've given up basically free will in what you can understand and your reality. So people will now just tell you your reality. They'll be like, oh, you live on a ball. And you're like, yeah, well, I'm not smart enough to figure it out myself. They are. So yeah, I live on a ball.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, a while back when before Decimal Z channel changed his name, he was like Dr. Z. Was it something like Dr. Zach? And I was just into that point of it when he was bringing videos out, and I showed like my brother-in-law to see what he thought of it, and he just stood there wide-eyed and just like, bit too much for me, that mate. It's just completely over some people's heads. And then I think I sort of like blew his mind and he lost interest. So, I mean, you just got to be gentle with some people. Some people you'll never persuade them at all, ever, because they've already been persuaded that things exist that don't actually exist anyway.
Yeah, and they always, it's so funny, they always start to say, but you just don't understand. I mean, that's basically, so
that's it. You don't understand, like, if something's got an ability to pop, like, well, just describe something now, I'm not going to say what it is, but if something that they describe has got the ability to pop in and out of existence, but you can't see it, then it doesn't exist, does it? Surely. You can't just imagine that it's there.
Yeah, and they always have so convoluted arguments. It's like, you can't, I mean, there's no string you can follow. I mean, it's kind of like, I mean, with this latest, the horizon, the picture of
the black swan.
The black swan. Yeah, I mean, it's like,
that's like, something you can't ignore.
I mean, it's like during all these years, like you're arguing. Let's say if you have a bottle and you're arguing like whether it's orange juice inside or apple juice, and you're arguing, and the baller say, oh, it's orange juice, and you say, no, it's apple juice, and you're looking at the bottle, trying to analyze the bottle, and and try to figure out what's inside the bottle, and then at some point in the future you get a chance to open the bottle, and you pour it in a glass, and you taste it, and it's like, oh, it's apple juice here, and then the baller say, yeah, it's apple juice. I always said it was apple juice. I was like, what? You argued that it was orange juice all along. No, but it is orange juice. No, but you just said it's apple juice. No, but it's both. How is it both? Yeah, when it's inside the bottle, it's orange juice. When it comes out, it's apple juice. I just don't understand. Like, you have the apparent horizon, you have the geometric horizon, you have infinite number of horizons, and they're interchanging whenever it's suitable. I mean, it's so crazy, it's so convoluted. It's like, I don't know what.
It's because at the end of the day, people are so. The only reason there is the black swan is, to me, it's stupid, because the only reason you have swans is because you're entertaining the idea that the earth can be a ball. So if you don't give them that the earth can be this thing floating in space, then they don't have an explanation for why the boats are disappearing. And again, at the end of the day, you'll be like, oh, this is the black swan, but they're arguing refraction, diffraction. So you think you have this swan, which is based on the fundamental physics of impossibility, which nobody is talking about, the fundamental impossibility that water is curving under your feet, and that's why the horizon looks the way it does. Like, forget that. We're saying, oh, we're going to entertain their geometry and how far away it could be, and then create the swan for them so that they can then argue the diffraction is why they see it. That's how it looks to me.
Right hand, if you don't do that, the ball earthers say, oh, the flat earthers just say, nah.
But it's not a nah. It's the physics. Physics of matter dictate that water is not going to curve around under your feet, and that's what's going to cause the horizon. Like, if you want to argue that that can happen, this is why I won't argue. Like, I'll be like, yo, do you think planes fly upside down under your feet? And they go, well, it's not upside down. I'm like, okay, your mind is not ready. You're not. Whatever you show them, you can show them if they won't respond to that, they're not going to respond to the black swan. They're not going to respond to air. They're not going to respond to anything, because they
do. You kind of have to meet them halfway, because if we're like all the way, no, that's all lies, nonsense, rubbish, go away, then there's no kind of discussion, and they'll just go around saying, oh, you're just giving the nutter hand wave dismissing. But if you meet them halfway and then show them,
physics is a discussion. You can discuss how water behaves. That is, and not only that, you can actually interact with it. The picture you can never interact with. You'll just sit there looking at the picture like two kids at a desk going, it's me, no, it's you, it's me, no, it's you.
But it's not just a picture, is it? You're giving them...
It is just a picture.
Hold on. You're giving them their equations. You're saying the ball is this much around, and this is how far you can see. This is
why give them that? That's a physical impossibility. Why even give them that? That's my point.
Yeah, do you know what happened with that?
Then you start arguing over diffraction, refraction.
No, but that's what they believe. You're trying to break down what they believe.
No, you're never going to break down what somebody believes. Like, bro, they believe it. You're not. That's belief that's them. The only thing you can do is present the most empirical argument
Same
possible.
as Santa Claus. People used to believe in Santa Claus. Then they were shown it's not real. You broke down their belief. Same as the globe. You show them that they don't have the equations, practical demonstrations, all of these things, and they're broken today, most ball earthers. They don't know what to do.
Rumpus is still on there arguing, it's light bending. So
that's like preparation for.
That's
even your parents can lie to you. So if your parents can lie to you,
I have a great Santa
Claus. The conclusion in it.
Yeah, you used to believe Santa Claus was flying around a ball delivering presents, and the only thing you stopped believing in was Santa Claus.
Yeah, I mean, I get your both guys' point, but I think you're kind of talking about two different group of ballers. I mean, if you talk about the ballers that has been, let's say, in this community debating all the time, and trying to let's say, just to win debates. I mean, those guys, yeah, okay, you don't let them beg the question. That's it. I mean, you just. But if there's I think if there's a baller that's genuinely interested in to find out more, I think you need to, like, as Spurs was saying, take some of those steps into their world to try to show them why it is a fantasy.
Yeah, I think if you have a baller that, if he has an open mind, one, I don't think he'd be a baller. But two, yeah, if you had somebody that's like, do you have more information? Yeah, sure. That's a great, if somebody who was set on the geometry as the reason why they believe the Earth is a ball and not some just programming faith, yeah, that's a great route. And that's, we should, like, everybody should be doing what they're doing. Of course, my whole thing is like, look, if they're not going to be convinced by the picture, don't argue over it. Like, if they're not going to, if within 5 minutes they're not like, well, yeah, that line, if it's the horizon, it just wouldn't be. It's if it's going to happen, then it would happen. If it's not, an hour debate over, refraction to fraction, it's not going to.
For me, from the very beginning, from the off, this has never been about evidence, presenting any demonstrations on either side. It's always been psychological. They've been attacking the person's mind ever since they were 5 years old. Bombarding them with images and rhetoric.
Exactly.
So now, the idea is they need to break free from this hypnosis that they're under. They're under an illusion, aren't they? They believe in a fantasy world. They believe, like when a hypnosis tells you that onion is an apple, and they bite into it. Delicious. And they're like, well, they think it's an apple. So the same thing is happening right now. It's how can they break their programming? You see? And it's not
I don't mind having a go at
and that's what, yeah.
Try and hypnotise me, because years ago I remember just being on all day or something, and some random hypnotist come in, and I just thought, yeah, you're a blagger, mate, and it didn't work. And then they use the excuse of, it doesn't work on some people and that. But I just think some people just so like weak-minded and weak-willed that they'll just go along with it, like, and that's how we work. It's just like,
it's propaganda. They spend billions on propaganda.
The human mind's a crazy thing, isn't it?
Yeah. They can brainwash you. They can wash your brain with all kinds of nonsense, and people really believe it.
Yeah, and they've been testing that shit for years. I mean, since they were giving like LSD to all the troops, and well before that, I wouldn't doubt. But I can imagine they've done all sorts of stuff without the knowledge of the people.
I think 9/11 was a test like that to see where the people were at, like, what percentage of I think they knew in advance what percentage of the people would, accept that it was the narrative.
There's a lot, of anomalies.
Yeah, it's like the Tesla launch. Yeah, all these things they do is all to judge, judge reactions from people. Like, let's launch this car in space. If they believe that, well, shit, they'll believe fucking anything then. Like, slowly pushing people.
The ball earthers have never been given an experiment or demonstration ever.
Look, but everybody believed that third building fell, didn't they? Because burning paper went into the windows or something like that. If people are gonna believe that a building's gonna collapse so perfectly, like a planned demolition, from burning papers going into the windows and that,
and being told it fell before it fell.
You're going to struggle with anything if
exactly right.
It's like Men in Black with his little thing, and he pulls it out of his pocket and it flashes, and everybody's just there, gormless, and just saying, "Yeah, that definitely happened, mate," because it was on the news and that, wasn't it? So
yeah, that's kind of like, and the 9/11 is what I'm using. Like, if I try to talk to somebody about conspiracy, and then that's the first thing I ask about 9/11, and if they say, "Yeah, I've looked into it, and I believe the mainstream story," then I don't go further. I mean, there's no point. There's no point to discussing, I think, anything after that. For me, that's kind of like, if you look into the evidence of 9/11 and you still think it happened the way it did, then really there's no point discussing anything else.
I don't even think planes have jet fuel, so like that'd be a totally another arc of like conspiracy that would run into that. I think that's another. I think that's another reason why they did that, so they can push that planes. Kind of everything they do reinforce. It's like chess. It's not one move. Like they move a pawn, it's not moving the pawn. It opens up a lane for the bishop. So yeah, you crash this plane, quote unquote, then not only do you create tension between Americans and Muslims, you lock down New York City so you can do a lot of like martial law type things. Then you get people that are believing jet fuel is in planes. Then you get all these things. Then you get to install more security in the airports. Then you get to get people strip searched. And they're like, yeah, well, it's for security. Yeah, it's this big game that's being played to con people into giving all their rights for safety. Like, they're giving up their rights voluntarily, which is your free will. If you can't walk, you can't leave the country. That's the whole, bro. When you were given this earth, when you were created, you had this earth, you could just move about it. You could grab apple out of a tree and keep walking. Now it's like, whoa, that's city property. You just stole from the city and you're going to be incarcerated, and they put you in a box. That's what it's all about. And people are like, yeah, put those people in boxes. Yeah, they deserve it.
Yeah, with that aeroplane fuel thing, I mean, if you look back in time, people have invented or showed inventions where, like different ways of playing with air and fuel mix creates different effects. You can like compress air and compress fuel, and it'll give you a purer, longer burn. I mean, I don't necessarily think planes don't use fuel, but I think they use a lot less than what they tell us. I think they use a hell of a lot less.
I could definitely agree to that. Yeah, there's no 20,000 gallons of liquid on these like JetBlue planes. That's ridiculous.
No, I would actually, if someone ripped the wing open and showed me, like, I'd give them every penny I got. If they ripped the wing open and showed me all that fuel, that 220 tons of fuel being in that wing, I'd head my money on that not being the case.
Yeah, if you check this out, a Boeing 747, they'll tell you fully loaded with fuel weighs 1 million pounds. That is the same as the world's largest bulldozer. And then go and check out the wheels. The 747 is on these little rubber wheels. Like, they're just, when you start doing them, like, if you look at it, you're like, yeah, it's unbelievable. This thing has the weight of 50 cars on each, or 25 cars on each wing it's taking off with. You think it could take off?
See this recent, like, I think it was only today, maybe it was a couple of days ago or today, but it was a recent plane, and it had to make an emergency landing, and because of the landing gear had gone, and apparently it had to circle for hours and hours and hours to burn the fuel off. But I thought they had the capabilities to just dump the fuel. Why didn't it just fly off a little bit? And that wouldn't it have been? I don't know, because it was the landing gear, wasn't it? The flight. Any of the avionics was all working and everything. It was just the landing gear that was, so they could have dumped the fuel and came back to save. I don't know. I think it was just like had a bit more drama to it. I don't know. I'm not saying it wasn't real, but I don't know. Are these things like over dramatized at certain occasions so we don't look somewhere else? Like this coronavirus, is it? It's all a bit.
Well, I don't know.
Timing's all a bit.
Zika, Corona, bird flu, swine flu, N1, N1. It's just a new thing every year. It's like Hamas. They have Hamas, ISIS. I mean, I can't even think of some of the other terror. It's just every year there's a new thing of the last thing, and they just make it more ridiculous. So you're in more fear.
And then you see all these things on the news, the bombing this city and the bombing that city. And then when they show you the city, it's just like empty shells of buildings. There's nothing left to bomb. All the people have moved out. They've all moved off into Europe and all that. The whole place has just been displaced, hasn't it? And that's not their fault. I'm not saying that. But I mean, when you look there, like, there's nothing there, and they're just like constantly bombing it and bombing it. What the hell are they bombing it? Who are they bombing it for? Because no one's going back there. No one's going back to a pile of rubble, surely.
I don't know if you guys noticed with the coronavirus is they like kind of changed, let's say, how they play it. Like if you search for, let's say, a coronavirus hoax, then you will get like results saying that there are few, let's say, instances of coronavirus reported which were fake. So the news are bringing those and saying that there are a few that were reported fake.
Have you seen about the patents that the patents for the coronavirus? And they're saying it's fake, but I found them online the other day and had a look, and it's from 2014. The patents for like the cures and the coronavirus, and I've sent them to my brother, and he said no, it's a different strain to that. I'm just like face smack, just like it's the same thing.
It's all this. This is vaccine prep. They're prepping you to accept mandatory vaccines. That's if you ask me.
And as well, it's convenient with all the riots that were happening in China. If you've been following it, there's been mass upset, haven't there, in China? People rioting and that, and then suddenly there's a virus that's going to, it could potentially kill everyone. The streets are empty, apparently.
Well, I mean, Bill Gates has said, the population's got to get down. Like, we all know that, they say there's too many people. They don't need us. They got the robots. And what better way to get rid of people than a plague or a virus that's out of their control? What can we do? It's just nature just evolved.
Well, I think about them stone tablet things, the way it's worded. Like, you got to look a lot into words, because people usually
Georgia Guidestones.
Twist them. Yeah, the Georgia Guidestones. People twist the words. Like, when you talk about theoretically, if you talk about theoretically in any terms, it's imagination, basically. But when it comes to science, suddenly it becomes like the be all and end all. So with them Georgia Guidestones, you look at the words, like it says maintain a population under 500. Is it under 500 million? Is that
yeah, which means you got to get it. Yeah. Which means you got to get it to 500 million first to maintain it. You got to bring it down.
What if it's?
That's quite a drop.
Not 500 million yet.
That's quite a drop to get it down that much.
Yeah, that's exactly. So what if we're not at 500 million yet? We can't go out and count how many people there is out there. We're only told, and we see these figures inflating every year. We cannot physically go out there and see how many people are out there. There's a lot of people out there. I'm not disputing that, but can we fathom 500?
Yeah, I don't think there's 7
million people.
I don't think there's 7 billion.
I don't think
another lie they tell you. I think it's another. They tell you it's overpopulated so they can, push more regulations. Oh, you can only have one kid. There's too many people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it's like they're hammering everyone now, and you've got everyone protesting about the environment and the climate change. Those people have basically been, they've been I can't even think of the word, but they've been got made to believe that protesting the government for more taxes is going to help them, and it's going to solve the environment problem. They're basically protesting to allow the government to tax them more over the environment. Whereas it's the corporations and that, they're the ones who, if there's environmental crimes being committed, it's the corporations. Like, we don't make plastic and that. People buy stuff for convenience. If you make anything simple, if you make a hard thing simple, people will buy it at the end of the day. So it's
yeah, like, why are you wrapping fruit in plastic, man? Like, it comes wrapped. I buy oranges in like a bag. I'm like, they're already wrapped up. Like, just, there could paper bags. People could, again, this was all part of the, everything's part of the design. Traffic is part of the design, man. If they wanted roads to move nicely, they would design them. We can send a thing 6 trillion light years away and nail the calculations to get orbit, but we can't figure out a traffic schedule so there's not gridlock every single day at the same time, at the same strip. Put another lane, make a roundabout, figure it out. Oh, no, we can't.
Exactly. There's a lot of things they can't do, and there's a lot of fantastical things that they claim they can do. But the fantastical things that they claim they can do, none of us could prove that they can or can't anyway. They make it impossible. You can't even. It's humanly impossible to fathom a light year or moving at the speed of light. The only way you could imagine it is because you've been programmed from the shit you've seen on TV, i.e. Star Wars and Star Trek and all that. You can imagine moving at the speed of light because that is what has been shown to you. Without that, your conception of moving at the speed of light, you wouldn't be able to imagine it. You wouldn't be able to fathom it. But now, when someone says moving at the speed of light, you imagine loads of little lines going past, maybe, and, some nice swirly pictures of galaxies or whatever. And, it's just like everything we know and do is programmed. It's given to us. Everything. Remember years ago, someone going around saying, do you think everyone's thoughts are unique or individual or whatever, or are they your own? And of course they're not, because from the second you're born, you're being told something, and everything you imagine from then on is based on what you know and what you've been told. You can't build something in your mind from nothing.
When you said like, oh, everything they have is fantastical, like it made me think of the Ball Earth and like how all of their everything they have is either too big or too small. Like it's either too far away or it's like there's nothing that everything that we can do. No. That don't worry about that. It's all just outside of our reach. Like you'll never be able to see, all these things or all these places. But they're there. Trust us.
Exactly. We've got something that's 27 million light years away, which you'll never be able. You couldn't, like I say, you couldn't even imagine 27 million light years, and you'd be lying if you said you could. And then you've got on the other scale, you've got something on the quantum level, which is so minute that it slips in and out of existence, and you can't detect it, but they know it's there because X equation, blah blah blah. Bit of mental arithmetic, and there you go. Okay. You can't prove any of it. It's all.
Yeah.
Go on.
I just wanted a slight change of gear here. As every year in Flat Earth, there seems to be a little bit of infighting, a little bit of tiffs here, there, and everywhere. So the latest, obviously, fallout is obviously between Ranty and Nathan, QE, and Arwin. I don't know if you guys have seen what's happened. If you have, what do you make of the infighting? Are we falling out too soon? Is the fame and fortune and the intelligence getting our heads? What seems to be the problem, guys? Why are we failing to have cohesion when we have the greatest truth at our disposal? What's going on? What do you make of this?
Yeah, I just listened to it before the show actually, and I was really surprised at how it all went down. I thought really it was a bit unfair towards Ranty the way Nathan behaved. So I'm really shocked. I don't really know what to make of it.
You think Nathan was wrong?
Yeah, in that regards, yes. I thought he was too hard on Ranty. I think it was really obvious that everybody was just wanting to get answered, and it's kind of a silly stance to say, why do you want this proof? It will not give you anything. Yeah, but just show it to me. Don't worry about what it will do to me. Just show it to me. I mean, that's I don't know, the will to not show it and kind of, I don't know. I mean, I followed the show a long time. I really like Nathan and Kiwi, and I think they've done quite a lot for the community. But lately, kind of, it feels like, I mean, they have been, let's say, battered by the Globers so much that it's kind of they have, let's say, some version of PTSD, where it's kind of they get angry and upset as soon as anybody goes against anything that they say. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. There's certain like off limit topics, and that's like what's killing them. Like the whole idea. This is Ranty was 100% right in this regard, that QE gets on Globers for not having proof and quote unquote evidence, and yada yada. But when he presents any claims, the first thing he goes to are citations. Now, a citation at the end of the day is just what somebody says. Now, it's not a demonstration in reality. It's not a physical experiment. It's just the musings of somebody that you put authority to. Now, you can call them an expert. That's fine, but words are not going to make reality change. Only a demonstration of what you're trying to prove, or your own unique explanation of what's going on.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I remember when Nathan was on Globebusters, and I really, I mean, he bite Bob's head off for citing stuff about the ether, and saying that, yeah, the citation is not proof. What are you doing? And then he's not doing the same towards QE.
So one of the things I'm really into now is like it's this channel. It's a small channel. It's called Bill Gates with Rational Science. Now, one of this, and I'll put this to anybody who wants to follow Nathan's idea of science, because, like I said, I will change and adapt my arguments always. Now, Bill Gates said something that just hit me, and I was like, oh man, that's killer. So you're going to say, all right, the first step of science is observe natural phenomenon. Okay, so right off the bat, you're saying blind people cannot do science? No, that's ridiculous. Science is, in my opinion, I'm agreeing with this guy, an explanation of the mechanics or the mechanism in which something happens. Science is not proofs. Proof is what you believe. You know, evidence, they'll say, oh, a boat going over the horizon is evidence that the earth is a ball. See how evidence is such a weird term? Because it's your personal interpretation of something.
Yeah, but people blanket term that science. When people say, oh, you don't believe science, they mean you do not believe science. You don't believe any science. You don't believe science that can be seen there in front of you. Like, you know, you can put things, you can see, you know, some things you can't see with your eye, but you can put it under a microscope and see it and see that it's there. You know. And
well, is that science or is that an observation?
You can't see or feel, but you can feel it. You know, like the air, for instance, if it's compressed, you'll feel it. You know, that type of science, anything based in that type of reality is real and cannot be disputed, surely. But then once something steps out of that realm, into theoretical sciences, it's more to me like, it's just words, isn't it? It's just philosophy. It's not, unless it has some physical proof, like, it to me, it doesn't mean anything. You can talk about it all day long. You can write equations about it for days, weeks, years. You can write an endless equation that'll never end, that 4 scientists will spend their lifetimes on and die. And, you know, each one will continue on that equation on that board, and even the last one will be stood there scratching his head, finishing it. But it's never it doesn't mean it's real.
I never understood if, like, 1 + 1 = 1 and 5 × 5 = 25. How are we not doing these equations? Like, couldn't we just, you know, put a computer on the numbers, plug it in, figure it out? Like, if math is so, you know, 1 + 1, how do you have an equation you can't figure out?
Yeah,
like, that makes no sense.
It's like in the quantum level, they basically go down to beyond anything you can ever see or imagine. You know, it's there, but it's not there. Then they label it.
It's because they're explanations that match reality.
Yeah, but because what they do, they label what they've imagined to be there with numbers, and then they create an equation around that to go along with reality, if you know what I mean. Maths is basically a numerical language, innit? It can be written anything, but the actual physical exists before the maths. The maths isn't written before the physical. Surely.
Yeah, and going back to this,
you can't have 1 and 1 equaling 2 without 2 physical items. Firstly, the basis of everything and anything, there had to be first 2 physical items, and each one had to be labelled, you know, numerical order. It's just the order of life, innit? If we didn't have that, we wouldn't have anything.
Yeah, and when discussing about the scientific method and the steps, I think there are a few levels we need to distinguish between. Like when Nathan says, okay, when you prove your experiment, you prove your hypothesis, and that is true. But the thing is that if you prove something, a hypothesis, whatever that is, many then take that and extrapolate things from that. So meaning that if you prove that water boils at 100 degrees Celsius at sea level, then most people maybe don't stop at that. They just say, okay, I know how water behaves, and they extrapolate something else out of that. Meaning that if you want to build, let's say, a picture of something, that you need to do you need to, let's say, prove multiple different hypotheses in order to get a complete picture. So I guess that's also a bit, I think there is a confusion between, like, yeah, you prove your hypothesis, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you prove the thing that you, let's say, you get the complete picture. You get maybe just one.
The thing is, if I just like elaborate on that and say, you know, you could say that we could take a physical example like water boiling, and we know it boils at 100 degrees, but then we could go on and speculate that at, you know, a superheated temperature, you know, something else takes place at a molecular level, and it creates some new kind of structure that we can't see and we can't test and we can't know, but we know it happens because X equation tells us that it will. Do you know what I mean? And that's when you go off into the theoretical then, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
What do you think about photons? Do you think they're a particle?
A photon? Well, I don't. To be honest, you'd have. For me personally, like, and I'm not like anything I say is just my opinion. You know, it's not like I'm not attacking anyone or I'm not trying to like cause angst or anything when I talk about, you know, quantum mechanics and all that. I do research a lot, read into a lot of things, and you know, you've got to sort of try and educate yourself, haven't you? There's a lot of shit on the internet. But oh, sorry, 1 minute. I have to come back to 1 minute.
No worries.
Sorry, mate. One second. I'm being called. Carry on, guys. While I just sort this out. Sorry.
What do you think, Cogito?
Yeah, that one is. I don't have a really straight answer to that. I mean, I'm trying to look at both sides of it. I mean, I've heard arguments from QE. I've also heard, to Theory of Office, Ken Wheeler talking about it. I mean, what he's saying also makes sense. So I'm a bit on the fence with that. I mean, I thought that Anand's question was valid. I mean, because like, I don't also understand because Anand was asking a question from a physical point of view, like how you have a diffraction pattern, and then Nathan was talking about mathematical, the distribution. So I also have the same question as Anand, and I would like to have answer on how do particles, I mean, if you shoot bullets through the double slits, how do they end up spread out? I mean, if it's particles, I don't really understand that, and that's maybe because I'm not. I don't know that much about that yet, but I'm trying to understand and get more knowledge. So I thought Anand's question was valid.
Sorry, I'm back now, guys. Yeah, like you were saying, just caught the end bit of that. What you were saying about bullets and firing bullets through a slit. Then yeah, you know, we'd have something physical to see, wouldn't we? The bullet would separate, and you'd see what happened to it. But when you're talking about a particle, you can't fire a particle through a slit. You can fire a beam of light through a slit, but that beam of light is not classified as a particle, because when you talk about a particle, they're talking about the essence of light, aren't they? Which is like on a molecular level, say. You'd have to capture a particle of light and be able to physically see it, surely, to say that it's there. Otherwise, you're just observing the behavior of light.
No? Yeah, and also when they say like, yeah, okay, there's a photon hitting the photographic plate, like, yeah, if you see something on the photographic plate, it's you as a let's say observer that is labeling it a photon. I mean, you don't. It's a photon, or if it's 1,000 photons in that.
Yeah, you're just seeing this light scatter, aren't you? Which, you know, there's the number of things that could make light scatter, like, you know, certain prisms and lenses, and you can mess with light in all types of ways, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's showing you what it's made out of. You know, we know when you split it and you split light, you can see the different colors that come through, but that doesn't prove anything. It doesn't tell you why it is different. It just tells you that it is. There's a spectrum of light with different colors. It doesn't prove why it is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I also don't understand, like, if you have, let's say, the pattern, if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 10, why is it, let's say, hitting 1 and not 2, and hitting 3 and not 4, hitting 5 and not, I mean, how is it that pattern if it's just particles. I don't really understand that.
Yeah, I mean, we class it. We try and like quantify things within a human verbal terms. But I mean, we can't do that with everything. I mean, that's where this imaginary sort of like reality comes from, where because people don't know what it is, but authoritative figures need to know what it is, because people look to them for the answers. They have to create the answers, and if the created answers fit, and they're so large that you couldn't check anyway, and they seem to fit, you know, they stay the arbiter of truth, don't they? They have the answers, and we receive them, and that's how they like to keep it. It's all about the power game again. You can't be a leader if you don't know anything. Everyone's just going to turn their back on you and walk away and look for somebody else, because, you know, a lot of people require a leader. You put people in a place, you put a lot of people in a place, and you give them a task, and you soon notice who needs a leader and who doesn't. Do you know what I mean? You'll always have that group who just follow that one person because they've got that bit more confidence, or they appear to know what they're doing. You know, everybody else will follow. Like, we are like...
Can I interrupt?
Yeah, of course you can.
Fire away.
I was just thinking, hi, the talking about light reminds me of that saying, if a tree falls in the forest and there's no one there to hear it, does it make a sound? Because they go on to talk about how these particles do, or, you know, I'll say the word particles, do different things depending on whether there's somebody there looking at
exactly.
it. So when you've got a model, a ball earth model that's set up to make everything material and make everything based on an accident, you know, just random, then you can't allow consciousness to have any impact on reality. And that's what they've done. They've said, you know, they're trying to find a way to say our consciousness doesn't have any effect on reality, when what we're actually finding out now is that, yeah, it has a huge impact. You know, your intent, your thought, all those things have an impact on what. And I think that sort of brings the ether into the argument as well, that could be the conduit for our thought, our consciousness to interact with the material realm through the ether, and it, because everything's joined, everything, even though things are far away from each other, they're still joined. Do you know what I mean? Through this ether.
Mm.
Or you talk about quantum entanglement, or?
Yeah, quantum. Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, they don't want to say that happens because there's some a medium of some kind allowing everything to be connected. You know, they're trying to just sort of find a way to say that, you know, everything's an accident. We're all just these collection of, sorry for the noise, collection of atoms all just randomly coming together, and, you know, natural selection has picked out the best, and you know, everything else has died off. When that's just not what we see. You know, the fact that we have other phenomenon, you know, I mean, you can go into things like ghosts and near-death experiences and, you know, all this kind of stuff. You know, the people who have those experiences will tell you they were real to them, you know, but they want to make our universe, our lives be, you know, everything would go along just as it is, even if we weren't here, even if there was no conscious person in the universe would still just carry on because it's there. And I don't necessarily think that's true. I think if there's no conscious person there, then, you know, the whole construct could disappear. How do you know? How do you know it doesn't just render to you as your awake and walking around like your dreams do when you're asleep. When you wake up, maybe reality renders to you as you go along. Who knows?
I thought that as well, but what I'd say to that is, like, the thing that stops me from assuming something like that is the fact that we're all here having this conversation, and I know I'm real, you're real, real as in like whatever terms, you're real, and I know, so it couldn't be that unless I could see into your head. But then again, yeah, maybe.
Well, but no,
then that'd mean
you're
like I'm the real one and you're not. When I die or wake up, you won't exist. Do you know what I mean? And I wouldn't like to think like nobody else exists except for.
How do you know we're not all the same consciousness because we're looking at time as we know it as humans, but what if the now is all that there ever is, and you are every consciousness at every now position everywhere at all times? You know what I mean?
Because I think because a creator creates things for people or for beings.
What if we're all the creator, though, man? What if
but hold on. What I'm saying is, what I'm saying is, Rude, is that if someone builds a television or a car or a plane or a phone, nothing is just built just because, right? People build things for somebody else. So if we're talking about a creator and a creation, the trees, the grass, the sun has been created for somebody. Like, here you are. So,
but you're putting a limitation on the creator by saying, because you're thinking about it in a human perspective. How do we know? It could literally be something we can't even perceive. We can't imagine.
Couldn't even imagine. It's
because
just,
you're saying that if we are God, because look,
it could be anything. But
then
it's that. Again, that's all speculation again, isn't it? It's just
but if we are God,
I'm being God.
Listen, hold on a second. If we are gods, then you would create something. So would you create something for?
Yes, but I'm imagining being God from a human perspective.
Yeah, but would you create something if you were a god? What would a god do? What, they just exist, or do they create something?
All right. So if you were a god and you lived in the middle of nothing, and you were just consciousness, all powerful, never ending, all knowing, but with no actual physical anything, and you got bored, what if you did create a place and split yourself into millions of pieces?
Well, yourself.
Just go, play with yourself.
Mm-hmm. Play with yourself.
I had to get that one in because I'm the Rude. I had to get that one in.
Hey, listen, guys. We had a super chat and from Christopher Lees, but he's asking: Mandela shows us reality is fluid. Would you think that's a talking point?
Yeah, absolutely. The Mandela effect has blown my brain. Like that chick with the braces on that movie. She had braces. I don't care what anyone
Dolly
says.
had braces.
It's the Monopoly guy for me, because I even remember in Ace Ventura 2 when the guy comes down the stairs with his wife and he says, "Oh, you must be the Monopoly guy." When he came down the stairs on that film, I remember him holding his monocle and then dropping it as Ace Ventura belted him in the face.
Yeah. So where is it now? It's like
now, even in that movie, he's got no monocle.
The Peanut guy's got no monocle now or something as well. And it was always the lion and the lamb. It was never the wolf and the lamb. It was the wolf in sheep's clothing.
I always remember the lion and the lamb. I'm pretty sure I remember the lion and the lamb as a kid.
I went to a bit of religious school. As wolves in sheep's clothing in the Bible, not the wolf will identify.
I'm not religious, so I don't believe because to me, the books that we like, again, don't take offense or anything, but the books that we read and what we're told, everything we know about religion, we are told from who we perceive as to be them, if you know what I mean. The books that were written in the old days, the King James Bible was written by scholars, and I wouldn't even doubt for 1 second in my mind that he had a hand in what was written, and it was written.
Well, I don't think the Bible would warn against changing the words in the Bible and give you a stern warning about changing the words if it wasn't possible to change the words. Why would you say I'm going to give you all these plagues if you change the words in this book, if it's literally impossible to change the words in the book.
If you do this, this is going to happen. If you do this, every religion has its own version of, if you upset me, I'm going to do this to you. And, it's like a generalization. You could say like, oh, if you change this, I'm going to cause an earthquake. But, there's a good chance that the earthquake was going to happen anyway. You can't prove connection between that thing happening and the earthquake, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, like a
let me say something on the. Can I say something on the Mandela real quick? There'd be no Mandela effect without the internet and the alternative information source. If there were only people who communicated verbally, there would be no Mandela effect, because you wouldn't have this other storage of information. It would have everybody's accounts and everybody. You remember Berenstain Bears, right? Yep. Okay. There is no. You know what I mean? There would be no. Oh no.
It makes me wonder whether it's always been this way and we just didn't know.
No, they've killed off society as well, because in the old days, like you say, people used to verbally communicate. And when you're talking to someone direct in the face, you can get a pretty good judge of character if someone's shifty, or if someone, now they've shifted that away. It's all impersonal. Nobody knows each other. You don't know your neighbour. You don't say hello to anyone. Media. They've killed social life. They've said, oh, smoking's so bad now, ban it in pubs, and then no one goes to the pubs because then they put the beer prices up, and no one really just wants to go there. And just, it's all part of the social thing, isn't it? And it's like they use these people who are offended by things as leverage to destroy things. And I think they killed pubs off because, when it used to be voting time, like,
people would
go
get
in
together
election days, people would go in the pub and they'd be like, oh, did you hear this? And then they'd all sort of get together in that town, and by the end of it, they'd all be voting the same, or, they'd all
That's
have
why
a
they don't like
direction,
small country
like
towns anymore. Because people, like the town that I live in, we don't even have a set of traffic lights in my town. I drive down the street, I know everybody, I know everyone at the shop. I know, we don't, and they don't want that. They don't want us to be connected and be able to talk to each other like that. So they've created this system where they say, oh, yeah, you can talk to each other like this, but then you've got the people who pretend and who act like, and who lie, and you can't see their face. So you can't get a judge on their body language, because it's extremely important to see somebody's body language,
let me ask
when you're talking about something important.
Let me ask this. You say like the Bible's written by a man and that kind of stuff, and it's not like a spiritual thing. You don't think it's like from a god or anything like that. But,
that's not what I think.
Well, no, I don't.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to get at is, so this lie that's been happening for 500 plus years.
Yeah.
So do you think one man or a group of men could deceive the entire world for this long without it being something else?
It depends what the lie in what religion lie. Or...
No, about the shape of the earth, the science,
all that.
Yeah. So whatever they're trying to hide.
Yeah, no, I definitely
think it's just control.
I don't think people go on like. People say like, oh, everybody would know, and there's so many people who'd know, and this, that, and the other. They wouldn't be, because people go to the job and they sit at a computer and they do what they're told. You got people, like scientists in NASA that are doing one thing in one place, and then 500 miles away they're doing something else somewhere else, and in the end it all goes somewhere else and all gets connected. It's compartmentalized, and everything is to keep everything separate again.
Yeah, but still, from the 60s, don't you think that somebody would have whistleblown, or
what would
how is such a big secret kept?
Well, would they know though if the actual amount of people who knew the key information were a very, very small group, and that small group whose entire family had made their entire life's billionaire, trillionaire money for the rest of their family was all built on that lie. What do you think that them people would be capable of to keep that lie? Would you upset them?
You think they'd give that up?
If they come and told you the truth and then said to you, right, we're going to give you whatever X amount of money, a year and all that. You know the truth now, but you've got to now take that and twist it how you can and go and convince people of the lie. And then you go, oh, no, I'm not doing that. That's morally wrong. I've got a moral compass. I'm not doing that. And they say, well, all right, then we'll just kill you and your family and let you disappear.
We'll just bump you off.
You died in a house fire, mate. So what are you going to do now? You've stepped into the lion's den. You've got the two choices now. You either go along with the game or you don't.
And less than 600 people have been
but try to understand what I'm saying. Yeah, but try to understand, Rude, what I'm saying. Let's say 500 years ago, when the first guy or group of people said, right, we're going to change the Earth from flat to a globe, and we're going to push
Copernicus, in other words.
It's all about numbers and codes and masonry, and there's loads of things all in, but you can't just pin it on one thing. That's the thing. That's why it is so difficult.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is man capable of keeping this lie, or is it a spiritual? Is it more? I'm thinking is
it a lie, or is it a continued belief in an original lie? You see, you've got the lie, but then you've got the people that continue believing it.
Some countries don't even believe in the ball.
Spinning on the lies.
Yeah, we've got millions and millions of people duped right now, today. So what I mean is, even if all of those compartmentalized in NASA, they're now aware of the flat Earth being a thing. So they could come out today and say, you know what?
Intellectual pride, man's greed, man's intellect. People, you can't account for the human error.
Yeah,
you cannot give for the... I know there's people out there who whistleblowers and all that, but you know, even then, you've got a question: is that whistleblower been presented to you? Because why has he gotten away with blowing his whistle when so many more than likely haven't? Because you know, how many of us have got a moral compass and how many of us haven't? How many? How many of us would speak up if you were in the army and you were out fighting and you were there with all your troops and all your guys? You, whoever your section, whatever, and you were in the field and you went in somewhere and you had a load of enemy and you killed a load of them and you captured the rest, and everyone's like, come on, fuck it, let's kill them all. And they all go, yeah, all right, and sound, and you go, oh, hang on a minute, lads, fucking hell, you know, we've captured him now, you don't want to kill him. And they go, listen, shut your grid, we're killing him. You know, when does it become the point? When do you speak up about it? Do you go back home then and then go, hey, sir, hey, you killed everybody? What do you do that? Or do you just go, fucking oh, Jesus, and do you just live with yourself?
Just live with it, yeah.
Does it go for you? How tough are you? How mentally tough are you? How morally tough are you? You know, that's what you got to question. We're human beings, mate. Everybody's different.
Like if you spent your whole life doing something that you thought was benefiting space travel, and then you find out space is fake, are you going to run around telling everybody, you know, oh, I spent my whole life doing rubbish?
Yeah, plus if you're getting paid 150 grand a year, you're going to quickly run around to lose your job. You know, you're going to quickly, you know, it's like being a climate scientist, a climate engineer scientist, whatever, climate change scientist, whatever you want to call it, and you get 35 grand a year to study climate change. After 6 months, are you going to turn around and go, well, I couldn't find any evidence of climate change?
Exactly.
And you go, all right, then we'll get your coat and piss off. No, you're going to go, oh, I found this evidence,
this is my point. Dishonesty on this level. how
everybody's dishonest though, aren't they? Everybody's an opportunist.
Yeah, but not on this level though.
Put your bag down in the street and see how long it takes to disappear. Everybody, mate.
Yeah, I think you are right that there's something more.
You've got judges and jurors and
but not everywhere is like that, Rude. There are some areas where there are good communities where this doesn't happen.
Yeah, but they don't control the narrative. They just follow it.
Yeah, but I'm saying there are people who want honest lives. So I'm saying that.
Can you pick them out though? Can you pick them out in a crowd? No. You've got judges and jurors, mate, who go out telling everyone, jailing people for sniffing coke, mate, and they go out sniffing coke and shagging prozzies, mate, and they're jailing you for doing it. That's how honest this world is. This world is the depth, mate. This is not sugar-coated Candyland.
How is that happening? Is that man really just that?
That's what's been engineered, hasn't it, with social conditioning. Look at the TV when I was a kid. These movies now, when I was a kid, yeah, they were 18s. I'll tell you now, I'm touching on. Well, I'm going on 40 now. When I was a kid, mate, it was movies that were 18s. They're now 12s. My kids could watch them, but I couldn't. We're being desensitized, mate, and socially conditioned. No one cares, mate. No one cares about the neighbour. If you fall over in the street, people walk past you. No one gives you your wallet back if it falls out your pocket. The world's gone. Dusted. Got a few good people left. And that's it.
So you're saying it was good.
What do you think caused that, though? Do you think that was this, like you were talking about, technology? Do you think that? Well, do you not think that technology plays a big part? This disassociation that people have from one another.
Part.
You know, because
massive part is like, don't talk to him. They're this. Look at him. They're different. Oh, he's a this. He's a that. Oh, buy this. So while you're there, look at this. Buy this. Well, don't forget to throw a bit of tax.
And also that everybody thinks they're inconsequential, that they've come from nothing, and their lives are meaningless.
Exactly. And things, items mean more.
Whether you think it consciously or not, it's in your subconscious, and it will affect the way you live your life. It just will.
Items mean more than people. You got people going out, and they're not, like I say, you fall over in the road and you'll be on the floor, or you see an old guy fall over in the road, people step over him, but they'd be so eager to get a brand new car and go and show it everyone how cool they are. It's just like, it's all about
look
me
at the
now.
Black
It's all about
Friday
me.
sales.
I'll do a TikTok. I'll do a fucking my page or MySpace. I'll tell everyone about me, and I'll tell them what I had for me dinner, mate, and I'll tell them where I went and what time I went to the toilet. And it's just like, it's beyond crazy. Everyone's obsessed with the self now. That's how it's been engineered.
Yeah,
you just have to listen to people like Brenda. I want to talk. I want to say something. That's all you ever hear from it. Like, everyone is so self-absorbed.
Yeah, Kimo, was your question more related? Like, I understood your question a little bit different. Like, how if this started like 500 years ago, and it was a group of men that let's say get together and started this lie and build on that during all this time and tricked a lot of people. Because I think what you were alluding to, like, because men are often short-sighted and like they want, let's say, profit in some time in their lifetime. They don't want to they don't maybe let's say have a roadmap that extends for several 500 years. So you were saying, like, is this only a man made deception, or did man get help from some other third party, or was that the question, Kimo?
Some type of it's just how it could be kept hidden, because people will spill the beans,
But the elites, they do think in terms of generations. Like these
you're not hiding
families.
something that you don't know. You're not hiding something that you don't know, mate. That's the answer to your question. You assume that this is what I'm saying. You assume that there's a great number of people that actually know, and know it.
I'm talking
the people
about
that are that close to the knowledge.
Like 9/11, everyone buys the official story. Just anything that goes wrong in this world, the majority of people believe the system.
Yeah, and the other people that are close to the knowledge.
Is that man, or is that a spiritual thing? Is that more? Is it just man are just so stupid, or they're just so clever? Is it more than that?
Well, what do you mean? It's just like man wants an easy life, mate. Man doesn't want wars and all that. Man just wants an easy life, but man will do anything to accomplish it eventually. And now it's not even just satisfactory for man to want to just live. Now man has to be the best, because he's been told that he's crap otherwise, and if he's not the best, then he's nothing. So now everyone wants to be the best. Everyone wants to have gym body and all that. So now,
like, what sets you apart from the Ball Earth scientists? Why are you able to see that the Earth is not spinning a globe and they're not? What's they've studied this stuff, they've worked on this.
The reasons that they give you to say that it is spinning, I've got no base. That's what I'm saying. I can't test it, but when I look out and I just see the flat land, and I know things disappear, because when the further away you get from something, the smaller it gets. And if you're on the level of it and it gets so far away, you've obviously got optical, effects at distance. Our eyes aren't designed to see miles forever and ever and ever and ever and ever.
But I'm asking, why are you seeing that and they're not?
Kimo, Chemo, you know why they don't? You know why they don't? It's pride. They're too prideful to see it.
It's intelligent pride, though. It's pride in what
exactly.
they know. They know when somebody studies something so hard, they know it's real because they've studied it so hard, mate. And you coming along and telling them that it's not real, you are insulting them, mate. They've studied it for. They've put years sometimes into it. You're just an idiot who knows nothing.
But how come you weren't insulted? You studied the heliocentric model at school just like everybody else. But
you know
you
why,
were
mate?
able to handle it. Why didn't you freak
maybe
out?
I haven't got a massive ego, mate. Maybe I don't want to go out and be the number one. Maybe I don't want to. Maybe I do. Maybe I am that guy that just wants an easy life. And the thing, to be honest, that made me speculate anything as a kid. I was really interested in biology. I was interested in science generally, but biology I loved it. And when my science teacher, we were talking about the instant we did the dissections and stuff like that, and we were talking about how things work and everything, and then he started talking about evolution. And then I thought, great, we evolved into being humans. But then I thought, well, if we've evolved into being humans and he's trying to say we all started basically as the same thing, fish or whatever, soup, and then, eventually we all turned into whatever we turned into, why did we only turn into humans? And they say evolution is a process that ends once the species is able to survive, reproduce, and basically continue on. Why did we go past that then, beyond it? Why?
Bear in mind, when I'm asking
intention to explore and want to go everywhere.
I'm asking myself this as well. Like when I'm asking you, so I'm asking like aloud, how are we able to see what they're not? So
because we've got a rebel heart. We don't want to be told. We don't want everyone telling us what to do all the time. We don't want a guideline that tells us where we can walk down the road and where we can't. We're rebels, mate. We don't want that. We don't see people as being better than us because they were born in a certain family, mate. We don't see people being better than us because they can remember the ins and outs of one subject, or at least I know I don't.
No, you're right.
I think your intelligence is based on...
ringing true.
If you're dropped into a situation, your real intelligence is measured on how quick you can work out the route out of there the best and safest way. And that's how your intelligence as a human being is judged. The quicker you can work yourself out of any situation, is the more intelligent you are. It's not based on whether you can remember a whole book, because people with a mental disability can do stuff like that. But then you put them into a real life situation and they're lost. It doesn't mean that they're massively intelligent. It means there's a part of them that makes remembering a certain thing easy. It doesn't make that person more intelligent than you. And that's why it's not that we're seeing something, it's just that they're not.
Yeah, how? Why? Isn't it curious? Like millions, the consensus are just like, no, and it's just, I find it bizarre how, a small group, which we are, see this. Like, don't you find that bizarre? Isn't it curious? Isn't like, how is this happening? You're banging your head against a brick wall trying to explain to the ball earthers that there was no measurable this and that and the other. And it's not sinking in. So what's going on? Something's seriously wrong in this reality, right?
Yeah, I mean, there is, because I speak to people in reality, not just people on the internet. I've got like quite a big base of people who I get around. Like not just, we're quite a small knit community where I live, but I talk to quite a few people, and I've had all the ridicule and the joke and and the bit of banter and all that, and I just give it back. Like, people stop now, but some people, no matter what you say, they will say, like, I've had someone actually say to me, mate, they've put a hand on my shoulder and said, mate, ignorance is bliss. And I just looked and went, mate, what have we become as a society, like? And he just like laughed and shook his head, and he's one of my mates, like, so we weren't like being sick. But I just thought to myself, wow, that sums it up, mate. Ignorance is bliss, mate. If you ain't broke, don't fix it. That's how they've got us. And plus, we know as one person, what can me, you, or just any of us go out and prove today or tomorrow? We live to our means, mate. We work to live. Surely we wasn't made to do that. Work to live all your life. You know, there surely is a different purpose, but we're clueless, mate. You can't go assuming that there's this greater power and all this, that, and the other when we're clueless as to what we're even doing. We're going to work, mate. We're coming home, having our tea, watching telly for 5, doing a bit of whatever, you know, getting our heads down, going to work, coming home, watching the telly and that. And that's where humanity, that's where they've had it, because that's what they do. They say, come on, watch the tea, watch the telly and have the tea. And that woman there smiles at you and that and just tells you everything you want to hear or everything you don't want to hear. And then tells you about the football straight after. So you just think, doesn't matter anyway. Can Liverpool won or whatever, do you know what I mean?
Or Spurs.
Spurs, whatever. Do you know what I mean, though?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to stop ranting now. Someone else have a turn. My voice is sore.
No worries.
Yeah, I need to go. Also, it's a bit late here. So I thank you guys for chat. It's been really nice.
So all right, catch you later.
Yeah, nice to meet you, Cogito. If you ever want on again, just send us a message on Skype.
You and that,
yeah. Sorry, I didn't hear you, Ranty.
Yeah, if you whenever you want to come back, just message me on Skype and I'll bring you back in. No problem.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot. Have a nice evening, day.
Yeah. You too.
Yeah. Bye.
Yeah, so we were talking about the Mandela effect at one time, and do you guys remember the Karate Kid?
Yeah.
That bandana. I distinctly remember it being a red bandana, red, rising sun with the white background. That's the one that of all the Mandela effect issues that sticks in my mind.
I'm trying to think how it looks now.
I thought he had the regular blue and white one in the first one. No, I'm talking to someone else.
Oh, right, the hand. Yeah. So what with the you mean the Karate Kid, the first Karate Kid?
Yeah, and the first one I thought he had that blue and white one from the Mr. Miyagi, and then in the second one he had the one with the rising.
The red and the
rising
white.
sun thing.
Well, now it's supposed to be. I think it's that dark blue or the black with a white background. But when did you first watch the first Karate Kid, though? How long ago was that?
Oh, it was a long time ago.
Ah, right, okay. Because I watched it when it first came out as well, and I must have watched that film about 100 times, and I always remember it being red with a white background. And when I saw this was a Mandela effect and it had this black one, I was like, are you kidding me? That wasn't the case. No, it was red. Definitely. People are just saying...
Yeah, I remember it as red.
You do as well? Right. I think most people do. Double beg. White and blue with a bonsai tree with red on his back. I remember it more of like a circle with sort of like some stripes coming off of it.
Yeah, that's what I remember. A white circle with, looked like a rising sun, I suppose.
Yeah.
There's some of these Mandela effects it's almost like I can picture both. Like I'm not quite sure which one sticks out more, like the Berenstain Bears, or whatever it is. Like I can't put my finger on what it was exactly when I was young.
Yeah, and the other one, I mean, that you mentioned before about Dolly had braces. People that say nowadays, oh well, it's been gone over this, and it's been sort of like
digitally enhanced, changed.
And it shows that she doesn't have braces, right? But the simple fact is, right, and that's very unclear. But the simple fact is that whole scene was designed to make it funny when he smiled at her and she smiled back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was because they had this.
That was the attraction. That's why he was attracted to her.
Yeah. Because all through the whole thing, she kept her mouth closed the whole time. She had her mouth closed the whole time, and they had this weird connection. And he was like an outsider, and she was a bit like an outsider. And then you got it right at the end when they both smiled at each other and showed these big braces. Right, that's what made the whole thing. right? The scene wouldn't have been the same without that. So all this digitally enhancing stuff to say that, oh, guess what? She didn't have braces. That's rubbish. Because the first time I ever watched it, I remember I was watching it with my dad, and we both knew immediately she had these braces. It was the funny part of the film. So.
That was the whole point of the story. That was the attraction.
Yeah. People seem to agree. Yeah, it was the film. Yeah. But what causes this Mandela effect? I mean, this can't be like I asked my dad about this particular one. Dolly had braces, and my mum, my dad, my sister, they all remember it as Dolly had braces. So it's a case of, well, what's changed then? What is this Mandela effect?
It's bizarre because it happens even in videos.
That's the question, isn't it? What is it?
They say it's CERN, the collider, messing with time and space and reality. But
there was another one. Was it Scarecrow has a gun?
Oh, yeah. From The Wizard of Oz?
Yeah. Well, if he had a gun, why didn't he ever use it?
Scarecrow has changed.
Yeah, he was carrying a gun. Well, if you...
Oh my God! No way! He had a gun.
Yeah. yeah, he had a gun, and it's like, well, if
isn't this what like the Philadelphia experiment was all about? Like where they sent that ship somewhere and it came back with like people melded into the walls and shit. Weren't they doing something with time and trying to change time?
I don't know. It's been a while since I've looked that up. Actually, let me have a quick look now.
Yeah, it's been a while since I remember there was a movie about it, but I seem to remember it being something about them trying to go back and change something in time, and that whole idea of the butterfly effect, where you change one little thing and it causes all these other effects.
There's a lot of stuff that's saying that it is just an urban legend, but I don't know. I seem to remember people talking about that as being real. U.S. Navy sailors fused to the USS Eldridge warship.
That's the one. Yep.
Yeah.
They did big hush hush on that afterwards. The stories that I heard were pretty gruesome. People being melded into the steel.
Are they still happening in 2020? Do they still go on? Still going on?
Those experiments?
Yeah, any new Mandelas?
Oh, new Mandelas.
I don't know about the whole time travel thing. I think if they discovered time travel, they'd have it well locked down by now. They'd just go back and adjust anything that went against the pattern. Anything. You'd never get. We'd all be in grey. We'd all be in grey tops and grey pants, all with a little screen stuck to us and a GPS so they can locate everyone at every. They'd make it
living in 1984.
You'd never have a chance, mate, because if they discovered how to manipulate time and the pattern of time, then we would never have an opinion if that is what they wanted, and that is obviously
I don't think
what
they can manipulate time. I think.
Yeah, but if it was Tesla,
I think they're going
Tesla's
into
not
different
there.
dimensions. Not.
What if it was a good person? What if it was in the hands of somebody honourable?
Okay, but then you can go down the line of saying, well, this like spiritual war that we all talk about. What if you're just talking about time travelers then, and time travelers who are good and time travelers who are bad, and we've always depicted them as angels and stuff like that throughout time because they've always appeared futuristic to the time that we're in, and that is that's just a description of a spiritual war. But then again, it's just speculation, isn't it?
What would you say to people like Toadie that have just put in the chat right now that says the Philadelphia experiment was an army cover-up made to detract people from the atomic bomb program? Do you think he's just repeating the narrative?
No, but I think the atomic bomb program's a bit of nonsense as well, to be honest. Because you look at old video stack from back in the day, and you see images of soldiers stacking massive amounts of TNT and they blow it up, and the explosion like resembles the explosion of a nuclear bomb. We've already seen how they manipulate explosions in the recent CNN uproar, where they used a gun range exploding various types of military, whatevers, and firing loads of rounds off. And they said it was in Turkey or something. They were blowing it up, but it wasn't. It was in America, in Texas. It was on a gun range apparently, and it's a big
And look
uproar
at
on CNN.
Chernobyl. I think Chernobyl was a good way for them to test to see
Concentrated explosives.
No, I mean, I'm thinking more along the lines of this Agenda 21, where they want to get everybody into these smart cities and stuff. I think they used that as an excuse to get everyone out of the city so they could see the effects, how long it would take nature to, go back to normal, because there's no adverse effects there. All the animal and plant
I'm with you on
life
that. They built
booming.
straight on it, didn't they? Straight after it.
Sorry, they what?
They built straight over it, didn't they? Straight after, pretty much. There was no like radiation.
They've left it.
They built straight. It wasn't like they didn't evacuate. They built the city pretty much straight after. A month or so after it, they started building in the vicinity where the nuclear bomb went off, didn't they?
No, they're the Asian cities that they built.
Yeah, Hiroshima and
one
that.
where everything's still empty.
Yeah, Chernobyl's still empty, isn't it? But in Hiroshima and that, they rebuilt where they supposedly dropped a nuclear bomb. Like, there was no like remnants of radiation. But then again, in Chernobyl,
no adverse effects.
There's still people. You can go on YouTube, and there's still like people who are living in Chernobyl, old people, mate, and they're living in the villages in Chernobyl. They refuse to go out.
I don't blame them. Yeah,
and the guy's gone
there.
And he's, you can hear the radiation thing going off and that. And there's clearly something there what this device is picking up, and and these people are living in it, and it's not doing them any harm. All the animals are flourishing in the area in Chernobyl. It's just like, what is this thing that they're telling me? We don't even know. That's what I'm saying. We don't even know what it is. I mean, there was an instance in the newspaper not long ago where they left a load of nuclear waste apparently just on a doorstep in a street. If you Google it, nuclear waste just left out in the street, it should come up like
the amount of money that they, the jobs they can create and all of that kind of stuff to deal with this, supposed nuclear waste. There's a whole industry behind it.
Well, then again, if you find a power source which is fairly decent, and you don't want anyone of below a certain level,
what would you do to hide it?
So you tell everyone that you go near this stuff, mate, you're just going to turn into liquid, like you're going to
mutate, grow 3 eyes and 2 heads,
and that adds to the difficulty of somebody trying to steal it, or average Joe trying to replicate it. There was a young lad.
If they really went to the moon, then why, and went through the radiation belts, then why don't they just use the moon suits to go in and clean up Fukushima and stuff?
Yeah, exactly. Well, more to the point with the moon thing, why don't they just use the space shuttle and put a little lander in there? I mean, surely it's not going to be hard. The space shuttle can operate in the vacuum. It goes from the...
Shout out to Cleary. You can't believe anyone. Trust me. There we go. Cleary's done some excellent videos recently. Go and have a listen. Yeah, good stuff. Nice one, Cleary. Cheers for the super chat.
And do a slingshot around the planet globe Earth over to the moon. Boom. Why didn't they build the ISS round the moon as a jump, as like a jump base to the next place?
Yeah, why are there no bases on the moon yet? If they want to go to Mars and stuff.
The month after he went to the moon, they should have been like starting to think, right, we're going to start into the moon now. We're going to put, we've been there 5, 6, whatever times. We're going to start going there now. We're going to start building something up there, like in pieces, right? Okay, like where are we going to build it? Well, we may as well push it nearer the moon, no?
How did they get a picture of Earthrise on the horizon of the moon if the moon is always facing Earth?
I've seen that, yeah. That's a good question.
And all you have to do is look into submarines. Look into the amount of work, the amount of people that need to be in a submarine, the repairs they have to carry out, the the pressure, the strength of these submarines. Just look into that and you'll see straight away there is no possible way.
Well, how does a pressurized suit work in a vacuum, like? Because isn't a vacuum is putting external pressure in it, like, so surely the pressure inside is going to expand if it's got some.
Yeah, you'd end up being like
pulling
that
all the time in it on every square inch
burst.
of everything. Yeah, surely it'd blow up like a balloon. Like the stretchy man in the vacuum. I'm sure everyone's seen that.
Guy,
stretchy man in the vacuum chamber. He blows up, doesn't he? What's the difference in a spacesuit? It's got pressure inside it. We'll put pressure inside Vacuum Man and see what happens.
They're magic.
Go off like a bomb.
They're magic.
Crazy.
It's a bit like gravity. You just got to believe. If you believe hard enough, it's true.
That's what I'm starting to think. That's what I'm starting to think, mate. Someone said to me the other day, like, it's definitely, I can't even remember, it was one of the lads, and we were talking about something. He's like, yeah, it's definitely real, mate. I've just watched it. And I went, do you know what, mate? I've just watched
Superman. It on the telly.
He's coming round in a minute, like, and you go like, oh, you're an idiot. No, mate, I'm not.
Believe in the moon landings,
you say that about everything.
It just reminds me of a little kid wanting to sit up all night so that they can catch Santa putting the presents under the tree.
You can't prove anything watching it on the screen anyway. That's not going to show us anything. There's all sorts of manipulations now, mate.
Who was it?
Say about the ISS, and you just watch that film, Gravity. You can do it.
That said, we'll know our disinformation campaign's complete when everything in America believes is false. Like, wasn't it the director of the CIA or something that said that? It's like, why would you even be saying things like that?
You know, people can be really horrible in this arena, mate. When you start saying you're a flat earther and that, you get all sorts of abuse. Do you know what I mean? And I'm telling you, there's a lot more bad things in the world what people admit to and make they make material about it and put it in a public forum, and no one ever bats an eyelid nowadays. In fact, they support it. You know, it's like we're living in a crazy world. We're living in upside down crazy world.
Yeah, upside down crazy world.
We are. That's what it is. The plan is almost complete. Even though some of us are now getting onto the fact, but you know, the plan is almost complete. When you go out into civilization and you look around and you speak to people, I don't go around like with a big frigging sign on my head saying, "Hey, I'm a flat earther here. Everyone come and ask me a question." But I'm an observer, me, when I go out. I like to watch people. I watch everyone, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I watch
same.
the people who are watching everybody else, and I see, like, how much everything's changed from me being a youngster in the 80s. I was a bit of a tearaway myself, but when I look around now, I think, wow, you know, everyone now is like, I'm surprised we've even got anyone in the police forces and all that, because it's just like, where I live anyway, it seems you look around and everyone's a gangster. Everyone wants to be a gangster, mate. Everyone wants the new car and the thing, but they all want it today. Tomorrow's not soon enough. They'll do anything to get it today. They want big muscles, I'll go get some steroids and I'll have them today. You know, I want a nice
they've
car.
been taught that they can have anything they want.
Something shitty, mate, and I'll get it tomorrow. You know, it's just like everyone's so opportunist now, mate. And everyone will do anything to be the better one in the room, like to be the one with the shirt and tie on telling everyone else what to do. That goes to so many people's heads, and they say it doesn't, but they don't realise it does.
Yep.
What's interesting here is that I wouldn't say that there's a single thing that I'm probably disagreeing with you on this. Like, literally the whole conversation, I'm listening to it and I'm like, yep, no problem. And yet you've got these globe earthers in there that are like, you guys are insane.
Yeah, totally insane, mate. Completely bonkers, Barney, mate. I've not got a clue what we went on about. We're total failures at life. We've never achieved anything. We're all too, we haven't got two pots to piss in. Don't worry.
Yeah, we're terrible.
Fine, just continue on, mate. We're all shit shufflers, mate. Don't worry about it. You guys are all the best.
I just don't understand. If they want to believe that the world is fine and everything,
that's it, mate.
All fine. That's fine. Well, just piss off and let us talk amongst ourselves. Like, why do you feel the need to come into my house where I'm talking with my friends get into my conversation and start telling me I'm wrong. Like, no,
Yeah,
fuck off.
exactly. They come
Go
here
and
and
talk to your
they
own
come here and
friends
tell us
about
they come
the
here and
mean
tell us
language.
we're triggered. They come here, they're like, yeah, you guys are all triggered and that. And
Yeah.
yeah, all right, mate. Of
It's
course
like,
we are.
well, yeah, I'm going to get triggered if you come into my conversation and start inserting your bullshit. Well, yeah, of course.
I don't really get triggered on that. I think it's quite amusing. Like, that's why I let them all mess around and that. When I speak to him, if anyone comes on my channel, just let them mess around. Not really bothered, unless you start getting like, stupid personal and talking absolute nonsense.
Oh, but they do.
I know. I just leave them to
If
it.
you don't
I
just bow
find
to
them
what
quite
they
amusing.
say, they'll start insulting you. And, it's like, how can what we talk about on these chats have anything to do with you? Like,
we're talking about the Mandela effect, yeah? When I was a kid in the 80s, playing outside as we used to do and not just all sitting at computers and on our phones and watching TV. TV was crap. We had when I remember at my youngest, mate, we had 4 channels. Can you believe it or not? Half of the people out there would be like scratching their heads. 4 channels on the telly, mate.
Yeah,
what?
we had 3.
What did you do, mate?
We had 3, mate. I remember when 4 came out, I was looking, channel 4, channel 4.
You just trumped me, mate. You just trumped me.
My partner, I think they only had 2 in Queensland. There was only 2 channels.
What I'm saying is, when we all used to play outside, we used to go out and look at things outside. We weren't.
Yeah,
we
I used
weren't
to sit out and play
distracted.
Barbies with my friends.
And I know for a fact, mate, I did not see miles and miles and miles and miles and millions and millions and millions of trails, white trails everywhere, mate. I know that is not a Mandela effect, mate. I did not see them trails when I was a kid, mate.
I was 17 when I saw my first one. I was working outside with my dad. I'd been working my entire life, basically. When we were younger, my dad was a window cleaner, my granddad was a builder. They took me out on the weekends to work with him, I had to graft as a kid, basically. And I was out all the time working with my friends as well when I wasn't working. And I never saw a chemtrail, ever. And then one day I was watching the sky, and then I saw this. It looked like the sky was unzipping. That's the way I sort of perceived it. And I showed it to my dad, and we downed tools, and we just looked up as we didn't know it was a plane to start with until it got overhead, and then we could see it was a plane, and it was just laying this chemtrail, and it just went from one end of the sky to the other, and it completely, in our opinion, it's sort of like it split the sky in half. And we didn't know what it was. We were just watching it in awe because we'd never seen anything like it. And then I think over the next few years, there was one every month or something like that. And then I would say then it picked up to every week. Then just seems to be regular now. Now it's like every other plane's doing it. But I remember
everyone says, you're crazy, mate. You think they're poisoning us with them chemtrails. There you go. You've been labelled, mate. You think you're being poisoned with the chemtrails, where I don't necessarily think I am being poisoned. I don't think it's for that purpose.
No, I remember that. I remember it as I just remember it because it was such an unusual event. We just worked. We just worked. That's what we did. We didn't have much money, and we just had to work to get by, and that was just the way it was. And
you notice this stuff.
Yeah, and we just noticed it, and we downed tools, and we just sat watching it.
Mate. We're not backwards. We're not demented. We're not crazy, mate. We know what we're talking about. You've lived your life, obviously. You notice shit, don't you? Yeah. Unless you're just ignorant walking around, but then you're only ever going to believe what you're told then anyway.
Look at the comment from Toady UK there saying about that he'll come in and answer our questions. It's like the arrogance.
What questions are you going to answer, Super King?
But the thing is, we all have those answers already.
That's the arrogance.
We've all been through the same schooling.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't want your answers, Toady. Like, this is the whole point.
Oh, we don't need them. We've already got them. We don't need them. We don't require them, mate. We don't require your, confirmation, mate. It's not necessary.
And we know that we know what he's going to say. He's just going to tell us the mainstream story. He's going to type in www.wikipedia.com, start reading, and be like, "Don't you understand?" And we're like, "Yes, we do understand. We just don't believe it." It's just
I don't understand. I don't
ridiculous.
Believe. I don't accept that anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's people in the chat right now that just want to have heard this conversation. They don't want somebody coming in and then telling them you're all insane, because they might be hearing a lot of this stuff for the first time. Chernobyl was an interesting thing that you brought up there. You know, I mean, the fact that they told that place would be uninhabited for years and years and years and years and years,
Exactly.
right? And like you say, I mean, I watched a documentary recently about it, and it's like it's thriving.
Yeah, it's thriving, and I'm not taking away from anyone who people who sort of like died in that accident or anything, and I'm not going to even say it wasn't a real accident or anything, but I don't believe like what they're doing in these places is what they're telling us at all. And I don't believe certain things like the materials they're using. They're not giving us the real thing. They're giving us their version of events. And they say the winners write the history books. Well, yeah, and the leaders do as well. The people with the money and the power write the history and the rules and the regulations and tell you what he is. And that's it.
There's no way that like a nuclear power plant is real, because here's the thing. They'll be like, oh, we take these uranium rods and then we boil water with them. Okay, nobody disputes this. The problem is you don't find uranium rods hot. So basically what you're saying is a nuclear power plant needs to be plugged in so that it can heat up these rods.
Yeah,
well, then it's not a generator. It's not a power generating plant if it needs to be plugged in. My toaster or my oven doesn't generate power because it boils water, because it needs to be plugged in.
This is what I've thought about nuclear power stations and plutonium. It changes into uranium or one or the other, whatever, I can't remember. But I've soaked in that much information over time. Everything's mangled. I usually have my PC open so I can just quickly, go on and refresh myself. But I think, like a coil, an electric coil upgrades the power of the current. It supercharges the current as it passes through, doesn't it? The copper coil. That's what they use, don't they, to upgrade the current as it goes into something.
Like a transformer.
Yeah, like a transformer. What if they've discovered, like, if they electrify plutonium with a small amount of electricity, it'll superheat, and then they can use that to power it's basically a steam power generator, isn't it, what they had in the old days? It's just a different version. It's using a different material to create the steam. But it's basically a steam turbine generator, whatever it is, essentially. I don't know what this uranium is exactly. That's what I'm saying to you. We can only speculate how it works, but maybe you're right. Maybe it is just bullshit, and but what are they're obviously using something to generate heat in there, and it can't be coal because you'd see it surely going in there by the masses. You got to see what it. I don't know. See what it is. Maybe. I mean, it's something.
I think they have free energy. That's what I think.
Free energy, yeah.
Yeah, of course. Like, here's the thing. Picture this, right? Your electric bill. Okay, you pay $50. They're not burning stacks of cash to make electricity, right? No, so if you use more electricity, they charge you more money. Where is this more electricity coming from? Clearly, there's an unlimited source that they're just they've tapped into, and and this is one of the things that how they keep everybody down, is that you pay massively for everything that you have to pay to heat your home, you have to pay to drink water, and you have to pay to shower.
Explained and overcomplicated. Everything is over-explained and overcomplicated. When you start looking into things like electronics and that, it is not that complicated. But it looks to the naked eye when you talk about like little circuit boards, and if you've seen someone sat there soldering little diodes and that onto a circuit board and making something from fresh, and you'd never done that before, you'd think, wow, man, that's way out of my league. Do you know what I mean? Everything, you try and make everything out like it's difficult when it's not. Everything's quite simple.
Yeah, the same with Ball Earth. They're like, oh, well, it's G minus 8 9m squared M2. Yeah. No, it's a rock fault.
So the simple terms sound ridiculous. They're like, no, you're a child. No, that is.
Yeah, they say that's
simple terms. That is it. In fact, simple.
No, you're so stupid. It's flat because it looks flat. Well, yeah. I mean, shit looks like shit. That's why it's shit.
Shit. Yeah.
And this is how they try and make you seem like you're stupid for just like trusting your eyes and like what you're told. But nobody would think if your consciousness just came about at the beach, there'd be you would never think the Earth was a ball. Like on your own, you wouldn't be like, oh yeah, that's water just sticking to a ball. Yeah, that's how that's working. No.
To be honest, a lot of willful ignorance on some people's behalf as well. They'll willfully just ignore facts because that's what they believe. Like, they don't care what it is. They don't care about the fact of it. And you're a nutter for caring about the facts. They can get along with not knowing the facts. That's fine, mate. They'll just sit there and say, "Yeah, there's the answer. Sweet."
It's interesting. Toady in the UK says that apparently he works at CERN.
Yeah, did he go inside the tube?
I have no idea, mate. Apparently that's why he wanted to join the panel, to tell us about all this. So I just said another night because I have actually already decided and put it in the description. It's only going to be a flat Earth panel tonight. So, but he's welcome to come back another time and tell us all about it.
Yeah, but that's a great point. Like, he's not. What's he gonna? He didn't put his head in the tube. He's gonna tell us the exact same thing I can watch in a video. The guy walking around the tube. You know?
Exactly.
Turn the tube on. It made a load of hissing and a load of noise, a load of banging and that, and then he went round to his little PC, and then it drew a picture on there of loads of lines and dots with numbers on, and then that is what the assemblance of reality came from that.
But here, picture this. This is this is the best part. Like, if you think about, they'll show you this picture, and it's like this concentrated dot with all these lines coming off of it, right? What they're trying to do, think about this. They're trying to show you a picture of a movie.
Big Bang. Yeah, the Big Bang.
It's a picture of a movie. They're showing you these things are in motion, yet we only have a picture. How do you know they're in motion if you've only taken a snapshot in time? A snapshot of individual moment in time will never show motion. So how are they getting any sort of motion?
Sorry, though, but the things they're colliding in that tube, you never see what they're colliding in that tube. You don't see the actual physical thing ever. You just see the tube making noise. No one can ever show you those two particles, only when it comes on that computer screen and only as a concept, a design on the computer. No one can actually... You could never, you know what I mean? It's ridiculous to even assume you could put a camera in there and see the two particles whizzing past towards each other at a phenomenal rate and then having a mini Big Bang inside the tube. Poof! You know, like, it'd be great, wouldn't it, to see it, but it doesn't happen in reality, mate. They could tell you anything. That tube could just be a massive waste of time and money, and they've used the money for... They've exaggerated how much it costs to make the tube. They've gave people shitty little jobs in the tube. You know, they keep finding this evidence because they're paid to find evidence in the tube, and the screen keeps spitting out drawings. So they're just going to continue on anyway. And all the while, the massive amounts of money that are really being drained are probably being used for something else. You know, like a 10-star dinner for a load of fucking elites somewhere. All eating.
I think one of the things they do is to make powers, and this might be what CERN, I have no idea. This is something I thought, like, if you spin, like how you use progressive magnets, like in a rail gun, right? You know, to fire a projectile. If you made a large enough circle and had progressive magnets and started spinning an object and used the electromagnets to move the object at a certain RPM, like that object's going to start creating. Now, picture you replace that object with liquid mercury, like the metal. So since you get this motion going, and the motion can create an electricity that at a certain RPM will power the magnets, and then bam, that's like free energy. So maybe that's not what CERN is, maybe, but you know, maybe that's what other type things.
If they said in CERN exactly what you've just said there, if they said in CERN we've got two particles of whatever, two particles of gold, whatever, two particles of fucking copper, two particles of whatever you want, two particles of anything. We've isolated these two particles of it. Look, they're so microscopic, but they're there. And we're going to fire them around this tube at a phenomenal rate. And we're going to visualize it and show you. But they're not saying that. They're saying we've got these particles, we've got these atoms. They're there, but you can't see them, but we've got them in. We've got them here. They are in these two jars, look. We're going to put them into the big tube right now, winky face. They're going in, boys. And everyone in the room, they're just like, yeah, we've got these atoms. Like the computer said, we've got them in these jars. Oh, yeah, all right, sweet. And whack them in the tube, boys. Let's see what happens. Bang, in the tube they go whizzing round, fucking hissing, banging, whizzing, making noise, losing loads of electric. Computer says it made a star shape. Fantastic. We'll analyse this for a week, and then we'll do it all again. And then one day, maybe in the next 45 years, maybe, when we've all received a healthy salary for the next however long, discussing it, we might actually discover something.
Man, it's like it's part of the magic trick, you know. You make this big like production, you know, and the bigger the production, the better the magic trick is going to be because you know people are focused on. Well, they're like, wow, that thing is 80 miles around. It's it's actually the biggest machine in the world. If any of you didn't know that, yeah, it's the largest like man-made built thing ever, or something.
Yeah, and everyone else say to you like, oh yeah, but, you know. All these countries and that, how do they all have a space program? They hate each other, and they'd all tell you if one was lying and one wasn't. Yeah. All right. Well, so why have Russia and America shared equipment in the most advanced, supposedly the most advanced equipment that either country's ever built and put into the orbit? No one else has ever achieved it. Put it into the orbit around this place. They're the enemy. Russia's the enemy. America's the enemy. Fuck off, I'm gonna kill you all, mate. But we'll share this spaceship here. You don't mind if we do, if we just hitch on here like for a bit. We won't tell, hey, don't talk in front of them when you're up there, will you? Because, you might fucking find something out about this spaceship that we're all on together.
I never understood that. Mate, they're at war, but they're friends on the ISS.
Yeah, like, what else
the fucking stupid is that?
What happens on Earth stays on Earth, lads. Can I have a bit of your dry ice cream? Only if I can use your bog, mate. The suction's knackered on mine.
Could you imagine your country's going to war with your bunkmate, and you just gotta hey, hopefully they keep sending supplies up here.
Fancy game of chess. Winner takes all. All right, mate. Fucking, it's only a game.
Yeah, but we're crazy for believing. We're crazy for believing this
yeah.
stuff.
I noticed as well, all the countries that have got space programs, mate, they've all got like the central
right, like India, bro.
They've all got the central bank going.
Bro,
they're
India,
all scratching each other's backs with aid money and this, that, and the other, and all the other tax blags that are going on.
You don't got a functioning toilet
or anything, are they? Don't even assume they're working together, not behind closed doors. No, you're having a laugh, mate. Never. They'd never work together, them guys behind closed doors, and not tell us about it, surely. You've got to tell us everything.
Yeah, people are, like I'll be talking about the ISS, right? And I'll be like, yo, it's a light going over your head, or a hologram, or something that you don't know. And they're like, no. I'll be like, okay, so what you're telling me right now is that every single piece of technology the military has. Is that what you're going to tell me right now? Then shut the fuck up. Because if you can't sit here
Back in 2011, I got into like radio control planes and stuff like that, And we were out. I wasn't into it for long. And we was flying with my buddy and that. And I said to him, "Imagine if you could just like put, get a TV and put a camera on it and that, and fly around." And my mate, he's in the chat. He's probably in the chat now, but he's one of them people. Like when you say something to him, he'll probably go off and get straight on his computer and see if you can actually get it done. Do you know what I mean? And he said, "Yeah, you can. You can buy this equipment." So we started building these drones, FPV drones, and stuff like that. And oh, sorry, mate. I've been called again here. I'm coming right now. Sorry, mate. I'll have to get back to you in 1 second because I'm going to just take over for 5 minutes and I'll come right back to that subject.
No worries, mate.
Sorry, mate.
Wow.
Well, I got to run out, so if somebody can take over. Yeah. Thanks for having me right now. I'll listen to the live stream. I got to go. No
worries, mate. Catch you in a bit. Yeah, so, apparently we've had 170 watching up to now, which is pretty cool. And they're loving this real talk. We're calling it Real Talk with Ranty. So, what do you think about that page?
Yeah, I reckon that's much better. Real Talk with Ranty.
Better than Chit Chat.
Yeah, much better.
Real Talk with Ranty. I'm going to have to write that one down.
Sorry, guys, I'm back now.
Why do people care so much what we talk about? Like, if you don't like it, go away. It's not. We're not forcing you to be here. We're not forcing you to believe what we believe.
Exactly.
But you've got to sit in chat and you've got to insult us and, tell us we're idiots, tell us we're morons, tell us we're going to be embarrassed when, globe Earth is proven. It's like, well, no, no, it doesn't work like that.
Exactly. If that sort of drone technology existed to the public in 2011, it existed to the military, mate, 20 years before that, 30 years before that. And when people ask me about the ISS, I don't know what the ISS is. I know people have filmed something going over, but I also know that since the 70s, you know, you've had these big companies that have had government backing. In America, you can work out, I think it's called Sunlight or something like that. And they've been working on pilotless drones, which are solar powered since the 70s. And I'm just wondering, like, did they take it a step further? You know, did they use like money from the so-called space programs and that to take that one step further and build a massive, like, solar powered drone type? I don't, you know, we don't know what they're doing. That's what I'm saying. Like, they're telling us we're doing one thing, they're making us look that way and doing something else. If we've got things like available to us, you've got to imagine, like, you're only drip feeding us. You know, our technology is moving pretty fast, but theirs is moving well faster.
They're probably decades ahead of
Oh, yeah. What iPhone's out now? Is it iPhone 10? Is it?
Yeah.
Well, the iPhone 10 that they've got for the public, they've probably got all the specs up to the iPhone 15 right now, but they only ever release up to iPhone 10. Give you a couple of little updates, and you think you're getting all the brand new best technology, but no, they are so far advanced down the line than that.
Yeah, definitely they are. Definitely. Look, all these antennas and that they're popping up everywhere. Yeah, people talk about GPS and all this, that, and the other. And I think it has made it. It used to be like, yeah, well, it probably has still got them balloon, you know, them like satellite balloons. Like you've seen videos of them launching them. Everyone must have seen them videos where they're launching full-size satellites on balloons and that. And I think it's like a culmination of that. Planes, you know, well-paid pilots who are paid to keep their mouth shut. People are paid to keep their mouth shut in them very niche jobs. Do you know what I mean? There's not so many. You know, you got that. They could be using drones, and it's all ground-based. It's all just antenna. That's why they invest, you know, billions on ground-based equipment, and then tell you they're investing billions on satellites, which apparently only count for 1% of the communications anyway. All overseas communications is done via the undersea cables, which is, you know, they're maintained at a cost of billions per year. Why would they do that if they had all these satellites that were capable of transmitting the signal anywhere? Why do we lose signal when we go in valleys and certain places that are out of the way? Why, you know, if there's a satellite above, why does everybody's satellite dishes on the houses all point the same way?
Well, they're doing that to try and get in this you know, all these new towers in, aren't they?
Yeah.
You know,
and with the 5G thing, yeah, all it is when I'm flying my plane, I know if I use a lower band frequency, I'll get less clarity. You know, less information can be passed, but I'll get more distance. Whereas if you use a higher band, like 5.8 gig, yeah, I'll get more clarity, but less distance can be achieved. And that's what they're doing. They're stepping up the band frequency. So they're having to install more and more antennas at a closer proximity because the information is more dense, what they're sending on this higher frequency. And that's why they're building so many antennas everywhere. It's a more dense frequency. It can cope with a higher rate of information rather than a lower frequency.
Yeah, and it makes sense because if there is no satellites up there, they need these to transmit.
Well, this just gives them more that little bit more accuracy and more power and speed to make the claims seem more plausible. Really, you know, the more accurate you can get it, you could say there's something directly above you telling you exactly where you are if you can pinpoint it. But you know, they used to do it back in the day. You know, pre 1930s transatlantic flights and stuff like that. They didn't have GPS. They had triangulation, you know, with radio towers and that, and then they had long-range communications with the radio towers and that, but they never used GPS. They still made it across the Atlantic. They still travelled. So did all the ships. So did all the ships prior to that in the days when they used sextants and maps and used the stars to navigate. You know, it didn't use any sort of computer-guided anything. The first planes never had ring laser gyros. They never had, you know, this specialised equipment. They had a standard gyro in them. How the hell did planes fly in the 1930s without ring laser gyros? How did they keep stability? They had a standard gyro in them, which we know doesn't move. You know, it doesn't move with the rotation, supposed rotation. You don't get a standard gyro moving with the supposed rotation. You
What's
can make a
the
ring laser gyro do it, but doesn't that have
what's the
interference?
supposed difference between something like the Foucault's pendulum and a crane? Like a crane with a
Yeah,
ball
but you could say that because a Foucault pendulum, is it uses magnets to keep the swing, doesn't it? So they say
like something has
they
to set
keep the
it
swing
swinging.
constant and the rotation happens on its own. Whereas with a crane, if you swing it, the swing won't be constant, so eventually it'll stop. So basically, you wouldn't have enough time. You'd have to keep swinging it, which would then class as like interference if you want. You know, you're having to move the crane, whereas if the magnets swinging the pendulum and the pendulum sat on a supposed what's it called? Freaking hell. You know, what allows it to spin freely anyway. I can't remember the name. My mind's gone blank, but it's supposedly designed, isn't it, to just only measure that rotation. The swing is supposed to be mechanical, isn't it?
But if it's attached to the earth,
it's got interference just like a crane. You know, that's what they say. Oh no! It's only doing the swing. But
how is it measuring the rotation if it's attached to the earth anyway? Wouldn't it just be moving with the earth?
Exactly, because then you'd actually, if you said,
don't you need it to be in a separate reference frame? Like it needs to be like not attached to the earth.
But if you for 1 second anyway claim that deviation on that pendulum was because of rotation of the ground underneath it, you would have to say then that rotation is constant, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Yeah, you'd have to say the rotation is constant under that pendulum. If it worked every time and the deviation was the same, you'd have to say under that pendulum, it's constant now, yeah? There's no question. Yep. It's unequivocally proven, yeah? So then why did he say it's negligible when planes leave the ground and fly against the rotation or with the rotation? You couldn't say that.
Yeah, non-existent with a helicopter
because
or a hot
they've then
air
left
balloon.
the ground. Surely that rotation is now classed exactly the same as it is under the pendulum.
Once you actually stop and think about the things, like it's not as if there's only one thing that we've found that doesn't quite gel. It's everything has something a little bit sus about it, or it's completely wrong. Like everything. Like, how can you ignore, all the different flat Earth proofs, or even I don't even like calling it flat Earth proofs. Globe skepticism proofs. It's just lunacy to me that you could stick your fingers in your ears and go no over everything that we show.
Yeah,
NASA's lies, But
I remember things in the old days like where he said, they could bounce frequencies off the ionosphere and all that, and that's they use that to hot frequencies and like. Then why would you need a satellite if you're doing that? You just need a relay. You'd only need
they
one
made up the
frequency bouncing
because they got that signal to go so far.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh no, you'd never get it to go that far because the Earth's a globe, and then they did, and okay, well that's because bounces. It's like fuck off.
Yeah, how many times would it have needed to bounce? And what happens as it bounces off the ionosphere and then hits down at the ocean? It's supposed to bounce back off the ocean, right?
So bounce back up again.
So what about the waves? What happens? Waves have they have edges on essentially.
It's probably divert it.
Yeah, it could be sending the wave in a different direction completely. It doesn't mean it's going to bounce on like a bouncing bomb.
Like when you look at frequencies, like when looking into when you build like a long range drone, I'm just going to say that as an example, mate. My neighbour is so on it. I wish he was on the panel to talk about it, but when you build a long range drone, you sort of like start looking into frequencies and different antennas and stuff like that, and what they do and what sort of gains they'll give you, what sort of edge they'll give you. And when people have, people who are into that, sort of arena, they've really looked into this and you know, they've made all these graphs and the way they show frequency to move. Yeah, I mean, it could like a wave, yeah, whatever if you want to say it's a wave, but like the way the pattern spreads out, like on a dipole, it spreads out more like a donut, and then with more directional antennas, it's more directional, like a cone or a V shape, or depending on the antenna you build. So saying it's just a wave in one way, I don't really know if you could just say that, like if they're shown to work a different way. I mean, maybe I'm reading it wrong, and maybe the donut, the way they showed a donut, maybe the way it's built, the edges are just the signal fizzling out, but it doesn't look like that. It looks like there's a clear barrier as to where the signal ends. Do you know what I mean? Where the frequency can get to, and it can only get so far. But the more power, and like I say, the more power and the lower on the different frequencies, the lower frequencies, the different antennas, you will get more distance. You'll get miles of distance. There's that microwave frequency compute, you know, where they send a signal across land. I'm sure it's like 250 miles. Like, you would not be able to do that if the Earth was curving. You wouldn't be able to. That frequency wouldn't go that much in a straight line. It'd be blocked by physical curve, wouldn't it? And water is a nightmare to frequencies and shit like that. It causes loads of distortion. So I think, to me, that's a good one, that the one where they use the microwave, like to send the signal from one computer to another to make the internet.
Right, guys, I'm going to round up. Anything you two want to say before we go?
That was a nice one for listening. Anyone who's been interested in listening, nice one.
I think we've talked about everything, haven't we?
Yeah, I had a little bash at everything. Got to get it off your chest with a good ranty rant.
Yeah, but I think what this will do is it'll give people an opportunity to actually talk about anything that we've talked about tonight in the notes afterwards. So if you know, watch the re-upload. Well, not the re-upload, but when it's uploaded to YouTube, leave comments. You know, talk about things. Let's get some discussion going on any of these subjects.
I don't mind if someone wants to have like a debate on something, but just don't expect me to sort of like. I won't start bending to any sort of like anything I don't believe has any reference in reality. Then I won't give you my piece on it. I think it's just like an Ouroboros subject. We'll be there chasing our tails all night, and that's useless. Just a generalisation like this is good, where you can just change the subject up. So if anyone wants one of them, sweet.
Happy days. You, Paige, anything you got to say before we go?
Yeah, I suppose all I want to say is that, you know, we've got so many debate channels and stuff now. The Globers have all got their own little areas to go. You know, Nathan and QE have got their areas. Then you've got, you know, shows like Jeranism and stuff where they just talk amongst themselves. So it's really good to have somewhere where people can just come and spitball and just, you know, give each other ideas. And, you know, who knows, you might spark a thought in somebody and that person goes off and, you know, creates an experiment or something. You know, we've got to be able to talk to each other. It's no point having an attitude of, you know, oh, well, you don't understand, so you shouldn't talk about this.
No, that's it. If you've got a question, that's what it's all about. That's why we're all here. That's the whole
point of talking. If you don't understand, then you need to talk about it.
Exactly. You know? But that, I'm not saying like, you know, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, me personally, I won't talk about theoretical, like.
Oh no, I didn't mean you.
You know, all the equations and all that, because it's just, there's no point, mate. It's endless. But we'll talk about anything really.
I sort of more had the comment from Nathan Oakley in my head just then. I can't remember whether it was yesterday or the day before. He said something about, you know, I wish I could just be the only one talking about this, you know, because I get it right. And I'm just thinking, well, you know, it's okay. Your show's great for that, for this keeping things, you know, on the straight and narrow. But we also need platforms where people can come in and not understand and feel like it's okay to talk about things that they might not understand, you know? Yeah. So, yeah, props to you, Ranty. Thank you.
Yeah, nice one, Ranty, and nice one, everyone in chat. I've not been able to get in there, but I'm going to jump in now for 5 minutes, so catch you all later.
No worries, catch you in a bit. Right, so I'm going to round up, guys. With that, everybody, thanks for stopping by. Essentially, it was pretty epic, I have to say. I enjoyed that, listening to all the different things that I had forgotten for the longest time. I mean, just bringing up this Mandela effect and the like. That was bringing back memories. Also talking about Chernobyl and things like that. It just reminds you of these things, and the plane fuel issue that's going on right now. I have seen videos of that where they seem to refuel it, but with a very small refueling apparatus, let's put it like that, that's supposed to fill up this jumbo jet. It's all very odd. But there's definitely some things to look into for sure, and I think I might do a few more of these at some point. I don't know whether that's going to be this week or next week, but I do want to do some formats like this. Also, if you've got a presentation you want to do, email me, ranty@rantyflatearth.com. I'll answer your email. If you've got a presentation to put out, I'll do it. If you want to debate somebody, email me. I think I've got a debate lined up this Friday, by all accounts. I'll need to check for sure, but it looks like that. So yeah, anything you want to discuss, if you want serious conversations, if you just want to spitball like we've been doing tonight, if you want a presentation or you want to have a debate, let us know. Right, that'll do for now. And I guess I'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you for everybody that smashed the super chat. I really do appreciate that. It does help out immensely. And thank you everybody for stopping by. 170 watching. Pretty awesome. Right. Cheers guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.